Thank you for our patience with us. I apologize we're out a little bit later, so thank you for bearing with us. So I would like to open the Washington Unified School District Regular Board of Education meeting for June 22nd, 2017. And we are going to do the pledge and roll call. Can I have Dr. Rhonda De Rosa from Yolo County Office of Education lead us in the pledge, please? Okay, let the record reflect that we have 3 board trustees present. We have Board Trustee Wong, myself, and Board Vice President Pizzotti. And announcement of action taken in closed session, we had information received for Government Code Section 54956.9, pending or potential litigation. And we also had Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Superintendent, also information received. And that takes us to the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve or any changes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and I too vote aye. So
Okay.
Can we take a vote, please? We had a first, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Okay, so we had the motion by Board Vice President Pizzotti, seconded by Board Trustee Wong, and all of us said aye. So communications and celebrations. We have J1, the recognition of West Sacramento community service organizations. And I'd like to invite up Superintendent Linda Luna.
Okay. Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, Board of Trustees, staff, and guests. This evening, because it is technically the last board meeting of the 2016-2017 school year, what we'd like to do is take a moment to thank all of our partners. Well, actually, it's not all of our partners, but the partners who are local, who so faithfully and so positively have been such a great support to our school district. So we want to give a district certificate, but also give them a shout out for the work that they do, not just on behalf of our district, but in their leadership positions in the city and in the county, and our wonderful partners. So what we're going to do is try to get some good pictures in. So what we'll do is have each guest, as they're called up, and I'll just say a couple words on them, and maybe if the board can come down, we'll take quick pictures with each service organization and partner, and then people can get on their way. So the first person that we would like to say thank you to is our City of West Sacramento, our City Manager, Martin Tuttle, if he can come on up. Want to thank Mr. Tuttle as the City Manager of West Sacramento for the partnership and the positive working relationships with our district. We appreciate the strong communications that have been occurring in these past 2 years. We appreciate his leadership and support on the 2x2 meetings with the board and the city, with the support of the Park and Recreation Department, and the work that we have as partners for all of our parks and our schools. So we want to thank you very much, Mr. Tuttle.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So we're doing that. We're going to come down, take a quick picture, and then we're on our way. We'll do quick pictures.
And our photographer, officially. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Our second partner that we would like to specifically thank is also with the City of West Sacramento, but is the Director of our Parks and Recreation Department, Cindy Tuttle. No relationship there. Thank you so much. So what we want to thank our Park and Recreation Department specifically for is that they facilitate and lead our after-school programs, where so many of our children attend. And without the partnership with Park and Rec, we would have a lot of struggle trying to find the right partners to serve our students and our families. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this is for you.
Okay.
And we'll just take a picture.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Our next guest is the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce for West Sacramento, Verna Sulpizio. I think Verna's here. There she is. I think this year our partnership with the Chamber of Commerce has grown in strength. We are specifically talking about partnerships with businesses and industries, specifically to support our high school students for increasing internships and preparing our students for the workforce. So we're very focused on that together, and we thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you. So come on over.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Some more enthusiasm, okay?
Our next guest is our police chief of West Sacramento, Thomas McDonald. Chief McDonald here is a very close, strong partner with our district. The relationships with our students, with our families, and our communities has strengthened even more. We appreciate how the police department has started the Summer Nights Lights program, and we will be starting that again this year in partnership with them for the second year starting July 1st. And we also appreciate them stepping out in faith, starting a boxing camp during our spring break, which was very, very it was very popular. The kids loved it. And just to see the mentoring of the police department with our students was really wonderful. We also want to thank him for starting the Police Youth Academy. I think that's happening this week, and we're celebrating that tomorrow. So a lot of good things are happening with the partnership of our police department and bringing good mentoring and positive relationships to our children. So thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, 1, 2, 3. See, more enthusiasm. That was better.
There is another guest that we have in our audience, and we want to actually have him come up to be acknowledged and also take a picture with the board. And that's our city council member, Mark Johannesson. We'll ask him to come forward, please. We know that our relationships with our city leadership has just grown tremendously, so very positive and all focused on behalf of our youth and the future of our city and the future of our children and families. So we thank you so much for the leadership of our city council as well. So come on over and let's get a picture.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Good.
We also work very closely with our West Sacramento Fire Department. Regretfully, Fire Chief John Heilman and Deputy Chief Steve Binns is unable to make it this evening. So we're going to have our police chief, Tom McDonald, come up on their behalf and accept their appreciation.
They need our help.
I'm going to tell him so bad.
Good.
Thanks, Chief. We also have a very, very strong partnership with our County Office of Education, with Yolo County Office of Education. Our county superintendent is Dr. Jesse Ortiz, who's unable to make it this evening, and instead, we have our deputy superintendent of our county office, Dr. Rhonda DeRosa, and we'll ask her to come on up. Our County Office of Education has a very, very positive relationship with our district. They are very supportive with our local control accountability plan, help us, support us. They're very, very supportive with the special education support and services, and we are in strong collaboration with the Cesar Chavez Community School that's located here in West Sacramento at our district office. So we thank the county office for all their support. Thank you. Absolutely.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
I think it's great that we're having so many celebrations. There's a lot of people that are working with our district, and I just really love that. So from Los Rios Community College District, the Sacramento City College, we have our Dean of Students, Art Pimentel. We love our partnership with our Sacramento City College. Our students are benefiting from this, and so are our families. They're our partner to ensure that our students have pathways to college through dual enrollment. We have high school kids that are in high school and going to community college. We have a partnership with the Washington Middle College High School that you'll be seeing with an MOU. And we love the Kinders Go to College program, where the Sac City College is investing already in our students at age 5 to prepare them with a path to go to college. So we thank you so much for all you do for us.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Just so that you all know that. We also would like to thank UC Davis for the MESA K-12 programs, and I believe we have Rosalind Earl Clark here this evening. No, maybe? Okay. So the UC Davis MESA program supports our Math, Engineering, Science Achievement Program. That's integration into educational programs in those specific areas. And we have 2 programs that are located at Elkhorn Village Elementary and Bridgeway Island. They support our educational pathways to our high schools, so we appreciate our partnership with UC Davis. So next, we'll see if we have our West Sacramento Foundation. Is our president, Paul Kolarik, here? Our West Sacramento Foundation is a support to all of our schools, not just in fundraising, but also for scholarships for specific programs at all of our school sites. So we thank our foundation. We also want to thank other service organizations, and we'll start with the Kiwanis Club with Mr. Monty McCrae. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, let's get a picture together,
Okay.
all right?
All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCrae, for being here. This year marks a renewed relationship with our Kiwanis Club, and we're so grateful for that. We also want to thank our West Sacramento Masonic Lodge, Mr. Robert Bellai. Are you here? Oh, yes. So this is also a renewed and rekindled relationship and partnership with our district. And after the final presentation of our celebrations, you're going to hear a little bit more from some things and celebrations they have for our children and what they've done for us. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Come on over and let's get a picture.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And the last service organization gratitude is going to the West Sacramento Rotary Club. And unfortunately, none of the officers could make it, so I am standing in as a West Sacramento Rotarian for accepting this. And what I would say is thank you to the Rotary Club for their partnership with our district. We have a high school Interact program over at River City High School, and I know they're very busy because I wanted to be a part of the Interact program, and they're just way too busy for my schedule to be able to get them on there. They do a wonderful study abroad program that some of our high school students have taken advantage of. They run an annual essay contest, and you heard some of the essays this year that were wonderfully crafted, and they also honor Citizens of the Month at some of our schools each Friday at the Rotary. So we want to thank the Rotary Club for that. I think I'll skip my picture though. Okay. So those are all of our thanks and gratitude to our service organizations. I think of a very short saying by Helen Keller, and she said, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." So we want to thank you on behalf of the Washington School District to all of our organizations in the city and in the county of Yolo for all of your support and partnership. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you again so much for being here. This is the place to be in West Sacramento tonight. We have all of the best here tonight. I feel like we should go downstairs and have a party. But instead, we'll keep on with our meeting, and you can now go downstairs and have a party if you'd like. And we will move on to our association reports in just a minute. Oh.
One more.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that yes. Recognition of the Masonic Lodge Perfect Attendance Bicycle Giveaway. Yes, I'm so sorry.
So
The most important thing, right?
So I wanted to take a few minutes just to thank the Masonic Lodge here in West Sacramento for everything that they did and work with us, with the school district at the end of the school year. I think it's, like the superintendent said earlier, it's a rekindled friendship and partnership here in the community. And they had a fantastic idea this year to actually have a perfect attendance bike giveaway that they organized. So what that entailed was every sixth grade class in our school district, kids with perfect attendance, they were put into a raffle if there were more than two children per class. And then the Masonic Lodge made it possible to actually go out and purchase bicycles and helmets for all these kids to actually have a great start to the summer. So we invited the group here tonight just to say our thank you and offer our gratitude. And then there's a couple bicycles that we wanted to also present to a couple of the kids that weren't able to make it to the June 3rd ceremony. And I think one of the families is here, the Cameron family as well from Westmore Oaks. So they wanted to just present the bicycle to the family as well tonight.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So if Mr. Belli wanted to join me up here for a second.
Yeah, I would.
If there's anything you wanted to say.
Yeah. There was actually 11 children that we had bicycles for. We presented 7 of them on the 3rd of June. But we have Camelia Cameron. She's not here yet. Okay.
Mother didn't get her this evening.
Okay.
Attendance during school, but not at the present.
Well, we'll excuse her. And Deanna Murillo.
I think there was a couple last-minute conflicts that they had with the families.
Okay. Possibly did Edwin Ramos make it?
Right over here.
Congratulations, Edwin, good job. Go pick your mic right there. I want to also thank Mr. Casanas. He was my right hand in this, and Mrs. Luna, the district superintendent.
Yeah, quick picture.
Can we bring maybe everyone up? Would you all like to come up and we can do a big picture? We so appreciate you and we would love to honor you up here.
That's okay, I don't like that. That's why I like standing on my phone.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you.
All righty, thank you. What? Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you again for that. Really the perfect summer gift. They are going to love that. I know my daughter's on her bike every day, but it's not this hot. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I thank the board, school district. It's wonderful working with you and being able to be a part of the education system here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have our association reports. So we have Don Stoffer.
Good evening. I'm hoping this is working. This week, the Institute for Teaching, which is funded by California Teacher Association member dues, is announcing their grant awards for the 17-18 school year. So far, 2 teachers in West Sacramento have received awards, and so there may be more coming, which we hope. And this is the grants that include past winners in West Sacramento, such as Marlena Schroeder for the academic outreach program at the high school, as well as for Anselmo Marin and Julie Law for funding for the MESA programs at Elkhorn Village and Bridgeway Island. So we're excited about that. And once we find out the final list of winners and if we've won any more, I'll make sure I let the district know on that. Save the date. This is August 11th, and this is the date that Washington Unified and WTA will co-sponsor and co-host the annual new employee orientation. And we're hoping this year that it's actually going to be at Bright. And so as the date approaches and Maria gets the brochure put together, we'll make sure you get copies of that. The date, August 11th, Friday, August 11th. So want you guys all to come there, yes. And other than that, I hope all of you are staying cool. And thank you, and I'll see you next month.
Can I clarify quickly with you? So the grant, I know in the past that they hit, the folks you named had the grant in the past. Is this the same round that's continuing, or this is completely new people that are getting this grant this time?
I think most of the awardees will be new people. I believe, and I didn't ask specifically on Anselmo and Julie if they were reapplying, but you can reapply for those grants for up to 3 years.
Oh, okay.
And I know the academic outreach program did get 3 years of funding.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Exciting. Okay, so that takes us to our CSEA report. I'm ready to award.
Good evening, everyone. CSE has no update tonight.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Hopefully they're all staying cool. I've been seeing all the bus drivers around town going there. Okay, so that takes us to our board and superintendent comments. So Board Trustee Wong.
Good evening. I don't have a lot other than today was a very eventful day. I went to the policy analysis for California Education's LCFF update on implementation and impact. And again, PACE is actually housed at the Stanford Graduate School of Education. So they've actually analyzed the progress, or lack thereof in some places, of LCFF and the challenges that a lot of districts have faced. So there were several different panels, and I found it really very enlightening in terms of trying to provide context about what we are facing in kind of the next few years about LCFF. We went through the discussion about implementation science and how we actually had to fail forward, right, at that kind of, where we're in the middle of kind of all these different tests, all these different rubrics, and we're kind of building the ship as we're implementing, and that's really challenging, and everybody kind of acknowledged that, given kind of the fiscal, also on top of that, given the kind of the fiscal impact that we will be facing in the next 3 years, how do you become innovative given some of the constraints that we'll probably talk about later today in the budget. And implementation science basically is to, and I'm sure all of you already know this, in terms of plan, do, study, act, right? We have to begin, right? There's a sense of urgency in terms of where our kids are and how they are learning, right? And so we have to start somewhere. And we don't necessarily know what that is in kind of the current infrastructure of LCFF, but we need to start to plan for it. We need to do something about it. We need to study it. And we need to evaluate whether or not that's effective, right? And we need to spread what the promising practices are in the classroom, on the school sites, right? And we need to listen to the frontline people. That's what I really valued, that I thought it was going to be this high-level theoretical conversation, and on some panels it was, but I appreciated the fact that they put it back into, this is going to work if it works in our classrooms and on our front lines, right? Classroom, schools. And we really need to kind of hear that. And in terms of how do we keep high standards in terms of the data that will be coming out, realize that it's not great, but how do we kind of, again, leverage the good things that are going to come out of it? So I'll pass this on. Actually, I stole 2 extra folders, and I'll pass it on over here whenever people get it. But we can't do that in absentia of capacity building. Right, so as we look at our LCAP and adopt our LCAP and we implement over the next 3 years, is how are we building the capacity of our resources, our staff, right, to meet our goals that we will be adopting tonight. And then a lot of that is about a mindset. And how do we move from a system of accountability to a system of performance evaluation, knowing that even though we may have not met a marker, are we progressing, right? How do we continue to progress? And again, found that extremely helpful and a little bit of a relief, like coming from the experts who are saying, this is happening across the state, right? But again, it's a kind of local solutions for local problems, right? And trusting the people who are closest to our kids. So I just kind of wanted to definitely share that and know that the next 3 years will be interesting and fascinating and all that, and kind of forgive ourselves if we don't kind of meet all, 10, 20, 30 points in 1 year. But it's just a number, because there's so many other things that we should be talking about and thinking about and making sure that our kids and their learning are the focus. So I, again, really appreciated that. I had to leave a little bit early. But yeah, I just wanted to share that, and kind of into the new year, as we adopt the LCAP, make sure that we are thinking that this is the concept of failing forward. So, yeah.
Thank you. Board Vice President Pizzotti.
Mine's going to be, oops, there we go. Yeah, mine's going to be exceptionally short because I don't have a whole lot to comment about, except for the budget was just passed, and that's where I spent the majority of my time this last couple of weeks, was working on the budget. And then I was fortunate enough to become an uncle again. So I was really happy about that. But unfortunately, immediately after that time, my wife got norovirus. So I've been taking care of my wife most days that I can. So I really don't have much to comment on. So.
I hope she gets better soon.
Me too.
Okay, I don't have any committee updates. I do just want to have a comment that we are so fortunate and lucky that tonight, some of the moves tonight are for some of our veteran teachers that took on some of those hard-to-fill math positions. And I'm excited for that and to see that some folks have wanted to move into those math positions. And then what that means also is their classroom position that they're leaving has opened up, and then the positions that we had to lay off have been rescinded. And so I thought that was a great moment to know that we can have those folks back, and we never wanted to let them go in the first place. So I'm happy about that. So we have now superintendent comments. Superintendent Linda Luna.
Thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez and Board of Trustees. This evening, I have a very, very short update, even without a PowerPoint. So first of all, I just want to thank our partners and service organizations again that came out tonight to be a part of our board meeting. And, I've said this phrase quite a few times, and as corny as it may sound, it really is very true here in Washington Unified School District about the concept that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes everybody working together on behalf of our children to really lift up our district, give bright futures to our children and great opportunities once they leave our educational system. So thank you again for all of those partnerships. Number two, what I wanted to say to the board was, last Friday was the first of many gatherings of what we call our new Dream Team. And, in education, we just love to make up all of these acronyms. So DREAM stands for Developing Resources for Engagement and Taking Action to Make a Difference. So these particular educators, we put out an application and a request for any certificated staff member that were interested in being a part of this particular team to really work on curriculum and instruction. We had over 60 teachers apply. We had a very informal, informational interview, and we have 43 K-8 teachers and 19 high school teachers that are considered the district's dream team. And what they're doing basically is what we call the rigorous curriculum design. They are designing grade level and specific units of study for the content area. They're laying foundations for designing how to connect and interweave the different K-12 curriculum. They're looking at how to create and put in some formative assessments and performance tasks and ways to look at data for students throughout the year, not just one time at the end of the year. They're working on implementing a collaborative problem-solving approach to looking at students' progress and working together as educators. And overall, they're creating something pretty incredible for our district. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to them. The Dream Team includes general education teachers, special education teachers, English learner, and reading intervention specialists. And in the words of our assistant superintendent, these teachers will truly be leaders in helping to propel our district forward, ensuring that we become the gateway to extraordinary possibilities for our kids. The third part of my update, I just wanted to mention to the board that we had our first meeting last evening with the committee in regards to how to honor and memorialize our former beloved principal, Carla Marquez. And so the committee came together, and they are looking at the CSBA policy, the current policy, even though it may be very outdated, and also the history of how our schools, particularly Stonegate School, was named Stonegate. And so I want to thank the community members who came to and wanted to participate, and also the teachers that wanted to participate on this committee. We will be meeting again in August so that we can bring more history and more information together. Tomorrow, I will be meeting with the Yolo County Superintendents. This particular meeting for tomorrow is to talk about attendance for all of our students, to be proactive, to intervene before it gets out of hand or too late. We will be meeting and hearing we will be able to give direct feedback to the Yolo County District Attorney and to Judge Basha, who has historically served over the juvenile system and particularly in attendance. And so we are able to give direct feedback to the system in the county about how this works in school districts and how we can work with them to better support our kids. Lastly, I just want to remind our board that tomorrow's the graduation and celebration of the first West Sac Police Youth Academy. It starts at 12. I believe the graduation ceremony is a very short time, but there's a barbecue to follow. I don't know that they even need to crack up the barbecue. It's going to be so warm anyway, but I'm just saying that it's going to be a great time, and I'm excited to see our kids, to be a part of that, and just to hear their stories of what they were able to participate in. So that's my update this evening, and I look forward to a really productive summer.
Thank you. Can I ask the location of the graduation?
Yes, it's at the West Sac Police Department.
Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm going to read, this takes us into public comments. I'm going to read our disclaimer at the front. And I'll also say that while if we were in a different setting, I'd come up to you and say, how do you pronounce your name? And have that conversation with you, but I can't do that up here. And sometimes it's hard to read names too. So if I mispronounce any names later, I apologize in advance. So at this time, members of the public may address the board on topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board and are not on the agenda, although the board by law may not take action at this meeting. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive the item limit for a particular item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic. Public comments consisting of individual charges, complaints, or derogatory remarks about any district employee are requested to be submitted in writing to the administration in accordance with the district's complaint procedure. We do recognize that for a lot of people, commenting before the board and audience and the people watching at home on television is a nerve-wracking experience, so we try to make that as easy as possible, and we ask that there are not applause or booing or catcalling or any other demonstrations to maintain a civil discourse here in the chamber. If you have a public comment or there's something you want to say later on an agenda item, we ask that you fill out the blue slips that are over there and give it to staff before the end of the staff report, before our board discussion. Okay, so at this time, we have public comment. Don Stauffer.
Hello again. I guess I've been put into public comments.
I can move you if you'd like to be moved.
It was a consent agenda.
Okay.
And there may be a little bit of confusion on the items there. The board packet I received stops at N25, and I just checked the online agenda, which also stops at N25, but the agenda being passed out here goes to N26, and N26 is something I'd like to comment on if it actually is a real item.
Thank you. Let's clarify. My copy up here also goes to N25.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
We're going to check that right now, President Kirby Gonzalez, if we can just have a moment.
Perfect. Thank you.
Then I'll
Thank
come
you.
back and
Yep.
consent if it's real. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
President Kirby Gonzalez and Board of Trustees, on the official agenda that was posted on Monday before 5 o'clock on June, I think that's June 19th, there is no N26. N26 was from a previous agenda, and we did revise the agenda before the 72-hour period on Monday.
Perfect. So the copy that was for the public today is not the revised copy, to clarify.
The legal official agenda ends at N25.
Thank you.
So for the public's awareness, if you do have a copy that has the N26, the board will not be voting on that this evening.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
That's at the next meeting.
Okay. So we have, some of you may have noticed, to come to our meetings and wait for our consent agenda, that they have now been moved up, and this is the placement that the consent agenda will now be on at all times. So moving forward, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda unless there's any changes?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. I too vote aye. And so now we are going to information discussion items, and I do have some public comment for 01. So we will first have our staff presentation, and then we'll go into some public comments. So that is 01, the Washington Unified School District 2017 Summer Institute with Gwen Dillinger, the Director of Planning, Accountability, and Compensatory Education.
Good evening, trustees, and thank you, Sarah Kirby-Gonzalez, for pronouncing my title so I don't have to. Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Luna, Cabinet, and community. Tonight, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce the WUSD, today we call it Sizzling, Summer Institute, which is in full swing at both River City High School and Riverbank Elementary. In the spirit of providing an engaging learning experience, over 400 students and teachers are having fun learning, finding joy in learning, while increasing their college and career readiness. Before I turn the podium over to our dynamic Summer Institute principals, I would like to thank all the people and departments that make this program happen. As Superintendent Luna quoted Helen Keller, it is really true, together we can make incredible things happen. And without the collaboration of HR, who helped us get these dynamic principles, business department, who processed our materials and all of our time cards and paths, transportation, who is, as you said, over the summer working hard when they could be doing other things. And I know I'm going to leave someone out. Our technology department, who made sure that all of our kids are registered in summer school in Aries, ready to do fuel ed. That was a huge task, so thank you for them. Nutrition services. I was there at Sizzling Summer today, and they had these amazing salads. And it was so funny because some of the kids were like my daughter, like, no, I'm not taking a salad. But the rest of them just loved them, and the teachers really appreciated it. And the kids that didn't eat the salad, they ate the breadstick and the fruit and the sunflower seeds. So that was nice to see. Obviously, MOT, maintenance operations, it's very difficult to clean the facilities while summer school's going on, and they're making all the accommodations to do that so that when we start in the fall, they're ready to go. And then most especially, I want to thank our credentialed and classified staff who stepped up to take these positions and are serving our kids every single day when they could be relaxing, hopefully. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kristen Rodriguez, who is our summer school principal at River City High School, and Krista Koch, who is our summer school principal at Riverbank Elementary.
Good evening. I'm going to start. I'm first just going to give you a really quick overview of what is happening at the Riverbank Summer Institute, and then I will pass it over to Kristen. So real quickly, at Riverbank, we have about 200 students that are ranging in grades between incoming kinder all the way up to exiting 9th grade students, okay? We have the curriculum that we're using is focused on keystone species. The 3 keystone species that we are focused on are bats, coral reef, and wolves. And then we also have our dual immersion jumpstart program, and they are focusing on summer because, you know, why not focus on summer? And in addition to the classrooms, we have 10. In addition to that, we also have an instructional coach who's working with all of our teachers. We have 2 USF student teachers who have joined our staff and joined in our professional learning and are also working with our students, and 11 River City High School students coming to fulfill their community service hours, which has just been amazing. To cap that all off, we also have 2 homeschool liaisons, one who's focused on Russian and one who's focused on Spanish. With that, I would like to speak a little bit about our curriculum. Our curriculum, just to let you know, was developed originally by our instructional coach. And in addition to our instructional coach, our teachers are building this curriculum. So the teachers are the ones who are developing it. It's theirs, they own it. And it's so incredible. They've put it all on Google Drive so that they can share it with one another, and they've been sharing it with other teachers within the entire district. So it's not just them, they are helping other teachers district-wide learn this particular curriculum. As I said, they developed it, but it's got this focus of language. So it's kind of a shift in philosophy and thinking that we're not listening necessarily for what the content of the keystone species that they're learning. We're listening for the language that they're using when they're talking about the keystone species. So are they describing? Are they talking about cause and effect? Or are they talking about predicting and inferring around those keystone species? Professional learning, though, as and Mrs. Wong, you mentioned the cycle of continuous improvement. That's exactly what we have implemented in this particular program. So 2 days prior to the Summer Institute starting, we had our entire summer school staff, but in addition to our staff, we had 10 additional teachers, because I invited anybody. We had special ed teachers who came, we had reading specialists, we had English learner specialists who joined us, and for those 2 days they did. They had intense instruction in what is explicit language instruction. What does it look like? What does it sound like? How is it different from what you are doing the rest of the day? Also during that time in those 2 days, we set an institute goal. Collaboratively, the whole team, we all sat down, we all talked about it and said, what is it that by July 13th, our students will be able to do leaving this program? Because we have to start with our end in mind. They also then, we didn't stop there. They broke up into their keystone species groups, and they set a goal for themselves within their own group. And then from that, they set their own personal goal. Because this is about the continual cycle of learning and that growth mindset of how can we continually get better and setting a goal and revising and reflecting that, reflecting and revising it. Every day, in addition to these 2 days prior, but every day, our teachers have professional learning. During that professional learning time, they have an opportunity to share with one another the strategies that they are trying in their classroom. They're saying, hey, this is the strategy I've learned, here's how I'm trying it, here's my reflection, here's what I will do different next time. Also, and every single day, after they have this opportunity for the professional learning and learning from one another, they get with their own keystone species group and they have just collaboration time. So they've heard all these amazing different strategies from one another. They've had some training, of course, from myself, as far as what language instruction is. And now they get to go and plan together as a team. And that's what this picture is all about, is that we have teachers from vast backgrounds, some that are very comfortable in technology, some who are very new to technology, some who are very strong in English learner strategies, and those who are brand new at it, all building their own growth and learning right there in that picture. I love that shot. But last but not least, because again, what it's all focused on is our students. So what is it that our students are saying and talking about in these classrooms? We have them talking about, again, the keystone species. Today, I was able to transcribe exactly what they were saying. And it's amazing. I mean, we're day 6 into this program. Day 8 into this program, I'm sorry. And already I'm hearing complex sentences that include prepositional phrases, adjectives. I'm just so impressed. And it couldn't have happened without our amazing teachers. And again, it does follow the cycle of this gradual release of responsibility. So our teachers do a lot of modeling of their language that the students will need, because they are the language model. And then the students have an opportunity to practice that language together, as you see in the picture. And then ultimately what we want them to be able to do is to practice that language independently on their own. Okay? And let me make sure I keep clicking it the wrong way. Kristen's turn. Oh, yes, thank you. Please, anytime you would love to come to, we are at Riverbank this year versus Westmore Oaks, to come and hear the amazing language that is happening and see the growth that is occurring, whether it be during the professional learning time, school time. You're more than welcome, more than welcome. Kristen.
I don't need that because I only got one slide, so that's okay. Hello, everyone. The summer school program at River City High School is in its second year. We're kind of excited about this year because it is ever evolving and ever changing. We have, for the second year in a row, we have a summer bridge program for our incoming 8th graders. Last year, we had about 75 students participate. This year, we have 150 of them, and that counts all of the kids who are coming every day, not just the ones that signed up. So we've doubled the number of kids that are participating, and we doubled the number of teachers that are actually participating with them. We also have a newcomer program for students who have been in the country for less than 2 years. All of them are CELT level 1 or 2. Some have been in the country for less than about 3 weeks at this point. And they are learning very, very quickly, and it's kind of exciting to see their progress as they go through all the sentence frames and practicing the different phrases with their friends and with their peers in their class. We are running a pilot program for the district this summer for credit recovery. We have about 135 kids. Actually, I could be wrong on that. I'm going to have to look. We have about 135 kids, thank goodness, that are doing credit recovery in math and English. It is a pilot program very much for us at this point, and we are learning as they are learning and trying to make sure that we're at least a couple of steps ahead of them. But some of our students so far have completed not only the class that they signed up for, but I have 2 or 3 students who have finished their second and are working on their third class. So instead of just completing a semester of what, because their original goal was to complete a semester of a class that they had failed. I have 2 or 3 students who are now on their third semester of whatever class that they were not doing well in. So for some of our students, this is a fabulous opportunity, and they're able to recover credits way more quickly than they would during the regular school year. It is not without its challenges, technology included. So we are learning on how to fix all of those things as we are directing the plane. But it is a lot of fun. We couldn't really do it without the professional development that we are participating in. Because we are a high school and most of my teachers are working in, other than my math and my English teachers, most of my teachers are teaching outside of their subject area, because I've got 6 teachers who are preparing 9th graders, and I've got different people doing different things. So most of our professional development is in enriching the skill sets of our staff. And so we've done a lot of technology pieces in teaching the teachers what they need to be able to know in order to do technology-rich instruction in their classrooms, partly to make sure that they can run fuel edit as well as they can. But we're also trying to make sure that the teachers that are a part of our summer school program are well aware of the needs and the interventions that our students require. And so a lot of our professional development programs for our teachers include discussions on foster youth and their needs, English learners and their needs. We're doing a few days on teaching trauma, or trauma-informed teaching. Sorry, there's a lot of T's in that one. As well as undocumented youth and their needs on campus. So we are really trying to broaden the skill sets of our teachers and making sure that we're reaching the needs of the students on our campus. It's a great program. We're really excited about it. If you're going to come and visit, we want you to come and visit the elementary schools first, because they're open from 8 to 12, and we are open from 9 to 1. If you come after that, you can watch our professional development, but if you're interested in seeing what the kids are doing in class, you probably want to do it as a morning visit. If you came today, you would have gotten Otter Pops, because it was really hot. We may have to do that again next week, too, just because it may continue. But the kids are having a lot of fun, and by all accounts, they're very excited about the progress they are able to make in the summertime, rather than having to repeat the classes that they're doing during the school year. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have 3 blue slips, so we'll go to those first. I have 2 that would like to come up together, so we will combine in your time, so you'll be doubled for your time. So that is Carrie Carranza and Azita Chueb. Thank you, Jube. Thank you.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, and we both wanted to come up together. We are 2 of the teachers at the EL Summer Institute, the elementary side. And this is my 3rd year contributing to the EL Summer School Institute, and it is a wonderful, fabulous, fantastic, awesome, I keep coming up with more adjectives, a growth model of language for our ELs. It is such an awesome experience. We have 8 days. I have the newcomer group. I have incoming kinders through incoming 2nd graders. And I am currently a Westfield teacher, and one of my kinders was in my class, and she came in March, 0 English, 0 experience in a classroom. And today, in front of Principal Koch, she was able to echo what I was saying, and then she was also able to say a sentence on her own. And that is huge. So we are celebrating the growth that all of our students are having. And then our collaboration time, because I get to work with so many different teachers from around the district that I normally wouldn't get to work with. And we share ideas and bounce ideas off of each other, and we're constantly refining and reflecting on things that we have tried. And
I can add on to that.
okay, go.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of my students, their families, and my colleagues. I've been a teacher since 1998. I started working here in 2005. I've done summer school for at least 9 years here for the district. Never seen anything like this. And I don't know how to exaggerate. I'm talking from my heart. Every summer school, I worked with bilingual students. And every time we had a different program implemented. And I'm one of those people who will implement the program bit by bit because I feel guilty if I don't. I have never felt so fortunate to see a program that works so well and so quickly and on a daily basis. I had non-speaking students who are speaking in complete sentences. They're not really complex sentences, but complete sentences. I tested their vocabulary, not on paper, but verbally, because that's the goal right now. And they knew the vocabulary that I taught them this week, and it was not easy. I didn't think that they would be able to remember, but they did, and it's not because of me, it's because of how we are teaching. So, I have already thanked Mrs. Koch for training us and Mrs. Bell for training us, and I just wanted to thank the district for providing this program. I wanted to email Superintendent Luna for, I'm sorry, I'm nervous, and ask you for an appointment, and I might have to do that, because I'm bilingual. I speak Farsi, I'm sure you noticed the accent. I grew up in Iran, and I grew old here, and I see a lot of students who really need help, and I wanted to email you and ask for an appointment so I can just tell you about what I've observed in the classroom that I'm working right now. And I wanted to ask you to move me from my campus to the campus that has the biggest population of Farsi-speaking students so I can help them. Or if I could help them with in a program that the district can provide. Because we need to, and I'm not saying that just to tell the district what to do, but it's like, we know that we need to push these students so they can get to the level that they don't feel like they're behind and they're lost, and they feel comfortable and confident. So I don't know how exactly. I know what we are doing now is perfect, but it's a short time. So how can we help them beyond summer school? Because this is the only program that I've seen so effective, so quickly. It's rich and it's strong. I've never seen anything like this. I actually quit summer school after 9 years of teaching summer school. Then I joined, I'm thankful for that. I joined the summer school program this year, and I feel so lucky. I hate Mondays, but I can't wait for Monday to come. I can't wait for this Monday to come so I can go back and work with them and see the progress. It's happening every hour.
And I think each one of us is that passionate about our ELs.
Yeah.
There's not a single one of us that are dragging to come in. We
No.
come in, guess what I did over the weekend? And I looked at this, and let's do this, and I listened to your little clip. So we are so passionate about our ELs. And it's so wonderful to see them. And please, please come see them. Come see them. You will just be amazed. I think Miss Lee, when she came last year, she said, it's like Glad Strategies on steroids. And it is.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. I know we're going to have board comments in just a minute, too. And speaking of passionate educators, we have one more, Mike Buse, who's going to come up, too, and share with us.
Why, yes, I am a passionate educator. Thank you for that. I would like to add to the words of my colleagues. I am also a teacher at the EL summer program. I am a wolf by species, and it's a very exciting program. There's an unprecedented level of collaboration among teachers, understanding what we need to do, helping each other prepare ourselves, and planning together, working together. It's a delightful experience with the students. I've been here for a long time, as is evidenced by the fact that 2 of my former students are now outreach specialists in the district. This is easily one of the best things we've ever done, and I really appreciate being a part of it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow, that just brought so much joy to me. When I was in Oakland, I was actually the administrator for the newcomer program for Summer Institute, and just brought back just these amazing feelings of what that is, and summer school works and it's effective, and the research has proven that for English language learners. Actually, I think it was the first year that we had ever done that, so it was like, what are we doing? But it just brings, I mean, so much joy in terms of like what you can do in terms of learning and practice around that. And in addition to that, I also was able to actually be also the summer administrator for our summer program for involuntary transferred students, also known the kids who have been through expulsion process. And that also was kind of I'm sure a lot of, credit recovery kids and all of that. And that also was kind of a really unique and good experience for them too, because they got their unique kind of, they got kind of special attention that they might not have gotten during the school year. So really, thank you so much for the teachers, for you all, for what you do. And it just brings so much joy to me. So thank you for providing that update.
No? Okay. All right. You have me very emotional because I have also taught many summers of EL summer school outside, of course, this district. And sometimes it was that every year change, every year something different. And then it got to a point of it didn't fill my bucket for a while, what we were asked to do. And when I went into your summer school classes last year and I saw, looked at the walls and it was obvious it was GLAD on steroids. And it was the strategies, right? That's what you said. It's the strategies. It's not the box or the piece. It's the strategies and how you're doing this. And it's just so magical and it feels so good to walk in a room and have the support of your colleagues, to use your professional judgment, and to, this is why I ran for school board. And so it's just really, really, really special to see when this is working so well. And it's so good for kids, right? When you're excited and you want to be at school and you're collaborating about the kids, it shows, and the kids want to be there too. I shared up here last time, my own daughter said, I wish school was 1,000 days because I miss my teacher and I miss my friends. And our teacher had sent her some little summer homework, and she was, work, and she was sitting and wanting to do it and stay in that routine. So I know that the children love being there with you too. So thank you for that just powerful presentation. I think the day that was really powerful for me was to go the day that the parents come and the students kind of show off what they've done. So maybe you can give us an invitation for what that day is, because that's where you really hear the students run around and share with their parents. And here's what we did with the bats, and here's what we did with this. And they know it inside and out, and they're comfortable speaking, and they're going back and forth with English in their native language if they're talking to their parents. And it just is really, really powerful. And you just can't, make that stuff up. It's genuine and it's real. And then the summer bridge program, when I was interviewing some of the high school students for my graduation speech, and I was asking them, what would you tell the freshmen now? And somebody would throw something out, and then the other kids would go, no, they know that now because they have the summer bridge program that none of us got to have. So now everybody knows all the things that you need to do. And so how special that is. And it takes that whole anxiety away from kids of going from their, little small K8 and now going into the high school. They feel like they have some good supports and skills. And so one of those students, also one of the high school students, told me that he came to the United States knowing no English, and the only reason he did was because of his teachers in elementary school, and you would have never known. He was fluent and very successful. So these are the special stories. Thank you for coming, sharing your heart. You've already been working. You came here and shared your heart with us too, and it just is, it's very special. So thank you to everybody who's made that happen.
Can I add one comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be adopting also an LCAP plan that actually enhances our English language learner program. So I wanted to acknowledge that tonight, that is something that's been a priority put on our agenda tonight. Because I know that we've, the leadership here and y'all in the community has been talking about it for a bit. So thank you so much for reaffirming kind of where our North Stars are. And so, hopefully that will come to fruition. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I know you talked about doing some of the trauma-informed teaching, professional development with your teachers, and talking about undocumented youth, and those would be interesting for us to touch on down the road as well, to hear how those went. Okay, thank you. All right, so moving on then, we have O2, the Annual Student and Family Support Services, and that is with Jerry Smith, the Director of Student and Family Support Services.
Good evening, President Kirby-Gonzalez and trustees. It's my pleasure tonight to present to you an unbelievable team. I'm so very blessed in my department to have a group of people that are not only unbelievable professionals, but unbelievable people that really care about our kids. And so as I give the PowerPoint to you this evening, I'd like to make sure that you not only see a face on the screen, but you see who these people actually are. We have been very blessed by the support from the board and from the cabinet over my tenure in the last 4 years as we made some significant changes to the Student Services Department as far as the things we've tried to do. When I talk to student service directors in this county and outside this county, they're not only in awe of the things that we're able to do for kids, but they're envious about the things that I'm able to tell them that I'm able to do because of these people. So we're going to start here. We're calling it the 2016-17 Stories of Success. I know there's lots of information that's going to go on tonight, so we're going to try to make it fairly quick, but I didn't want these folks to get lost on the great things they're doing. I'm going to start with our school district social workers. We have 4 social workers. I have asked them to raise their hands when I introduce them. Graciela Garcia. Graciela was at Westfield, Riverbank, and YOLO this year. Elizabeth Irwin was at Elkhorn, Westmore Oaks, and YOLO YOLO. Jamie Santos, who unfortunately is no longer with us, she took a position with her husband at their church outside this community. She did a wonderful job for us. She was at our 3 South schools. She's been there. This was the finish of her second year. Both Graciela and Elizabeth have been with us for 3 years. They were our original 2 social workers our first year that we had the program. And Sue Dwyer-Voss is now finishing her second year at River City High School. I just don't know how else to say it. They're just unbelievable. They do a wonderful job for us. They have great connections with our community agencies that I've listed up above, all the way from Communicare, YOLO Family Service Agency, Victor Services, Empower YOLO. And not only beyond that, they also do individual counseling with our students and our families, and also group counseling. In the last 3 years, and we've only had the program for 3 years, these are the number of contacts we've had by our social workers per year. First year, we had 610 students or families that they work with. Last year, they went to 741, and this year, we're up to 927. We feel real strongly that the need is out there for even more, but more importantly, we think that the increase in the numbers in our social worker contacts, and then also when you'll see when we get to our information concerning our school resource officers, or our formal contacts with our police department are going down. We think it's a great combination, that we think we're heading in the right direction with the things that we're doing with our program. Once again, they're not just because they're here. I say to them every time we have a meeting once a month, I'm so appreciative of what our social workers do for us, and the additions they brought to our school district have just been immeasurable. Our outreach specialists, we have 5 full-time outreach specialists, and this year we had the addition of 1 half-time foster outreach specialist for our K-8 students. Unfortunately, Michelle, who is with us, left us partway through the school year. You'll notice in the LCAP tonight that there's actually a recommendation for an increase to that position of 0.5 more to have a full 1.0 foster youth specialist for the entire district, and we think that'll be very, very helpful. Elizabeth Leone, Ellie, can you raise your hand? Riverbank and Westmore Oaks. I'm going to brag about Ellie above and beyond that for just a second. You also received a flyer in front of you this evening concerning a program that is being put on. It was led originally by the Teen Center, but Ellie has kind of taken a great deal of the lead on it for us. A great backpack and school supply giveaway that will happen August 5th. We'll give you more information before that actually happens. In the last 2 weeks, Ellie secured over 350 backpacks that are fully filled with school supplies for our students, and we are sure that that's going to increase more as we go down the road, and also 250 uniform sets for our students who need school uniforms that can't afford them. So we're very excited about what's going to happen as we get closer to the school year. Maria Hawkes. Maria is a long-time outreach superstar in this district. Worked at Stonegate and Westfield. Alex Yang, once again, another long-time person, great reputation with our students and our faculties. As Alex was at Southport and Bridgeway Island. Susanna Aguilar, who's now been with us for 3 full years at Elkhorn and YOLO. And Fran Quinn. Fran's the only one that can't make it tonight. She has a family situation that she has to be at. Long-time person in our district, does a great job, and she's been our full person at River City. Our outreach specialists, just so you're aware, their major concentration is on dealing with attendance issues. They do a great job following through. Those of you, I strongly encourage you, even not to wait till next year when we have the visitation time when you can work with CSEA employees or certificate employees, but to come and spend at least a portion of a day with either our outreach specialists, our social workers, or for more excitement, with our school resource officer. And I think you will really find it really neat to find out the things that they do. They're really amazing people. Besides doing that, they do our lower level support and counseling at the site level, what we would consider tier 2 type things, and they are amazing. The attendance data from the last 3 years shows that we actually had a drop of about 0.5% this year, actually close to 1%. Unfortunately, we had a couple incidents and things that actually affected some things. Believe it or not, the clown issue that happened at the beginning of the year nationwide for 2 weeks really affected some of our attendance issues. We had a very wet winter. and we had some extra illnesses, but the biggest one by far, after January 20th, through about the middle of March, we had a significant drop in attendance district-wide, and a lot of families were concerned about immigration issues, and we're sending their kids. I think as time went on, they became a little bit more comfortable and came back to us, so we're hoping we'll see an adjustment back next year. I believe, and Scott can verify this, I think that in 2015-16, ADA was the highest we'd had in a significant, maybe longest we ever known. So it is a fall, but we're going to try to get that back up next year. But our outreach specialists do a great job with that. Our school resource officers, only one of them is able to make it tonight, Officer Dan Bowers, and Dan's back behind us. Dan works the north area for us, has great connections in there, longtime West Sac PD police officer, knows the north end of town extremely well and has great connections with the families, and also supports our outreach specialists when they have to go out and go on home visits at times. Tim Tordos works at River City High School and the 3 South schools. Now, they do transfer back and forth because there are days when one of them has to be off or another one's off, and they will work the opposite ends of town. For me, I just finished my 34th year in education, and I can tell you I've seen over the years a lot of SRO programs, and I'm not just saying this because Dan's here and if Tim was here, or they're unbelievable. They really are. They care about kids. The kids don't see them as a law enforcement officer first. They know that in certain situations they may have to deal with them if needed, but they're great counselors and mentors for our kids. A good example is Officer Bowers runs our GREAT program on the north end. It's an anti-gang program, gang resistance education and training program. He runs that with fourth graders in the north end, and Officer Tordos even goes above and beyond, and he's the freshman baseball coach at River City High School. And when you see them on campus, you see a lot more high fives than a lot more sneers that you would think would be associated at times with young people and in law enforcement.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly point out that Officer Bowers, you were so highly thought of amongst some of your peers there that you even received a nomination for Employee of the Year for I don't know what it was. I guess it was we couldn't quite quantify where to place that, because you're not exactly a school employee, but one of your peers brought it up to my attention on where to nominate you for that. So congratulations on your work.
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised, Dan, I'm not. The formal contacts, and we call them formal contacts, things that the police department has to, our SROs have to log that go in on incidents that they either are working with the students, et cetera. You'll see a significant fall since 2013-14. I think that's associated also with the crossover with a lot of those situations that may have become law enforcement issues are now our social workers are picking up and trying to work with the families. So we're real proud of that. 2 years ago, you guys allowed us to initiate the InterQuest K-9 detection program that we use at River City High School and at YOLO High School. There's data here that shows that in the comparison from the first year at their visits to both River City and YOLO, there's been less contacts with situations of drugs and alcohol and or residual type materials. Not a guarantee that that's not necessarily on campus, but we're hoping that long term, as we continue doing this data, that we'll continue to see that fall, and it's showing that that program is making a positive impact on both of those school sites. Reach One Alliance, you've already had an experience of visiting with Mr. Bracey a couple meetings ago. Once again, I just can't say enough about the things he's done. I brought some statistics to you, some data information a couple times ago about the drop of 68% since his programs come in. You can see we had 98 suspected bullying reports filed within the school district in 13-14, and this last year we're down to 31. So I think he's having a significant connection with our kids and teaching them some good values. The last thing is our annual suspension data, and we have a little bit of good news. We came down about 30 this year. We think that's in a positive move. If you look at that in a 4-year span, you say, well, we're not doing, where we want to go. We're kind of going a little bit different direction. I do need to let you know that if you, and I didn't put this on the data, but I'll read them to you, that in 2009-10, there were 1,401 suspensions in this district. In 10-11, they were down to 955. In 11-12, they went back up to 1,037, and then in 12-13, there were 732. So in the last 4 years, we've made a significant change, and we're definitely moving in the right direction, getting the number of suspensions down with district. These are also, so you know, suspension incidents. This is not the number of students that have been suspended. We went through the data. Out of those 582 students, 582 incidents, there were 309 students suspended during the school year. If you take that out and put that against the number of students in our district, that shows that 4.16% of our students had a suspension incident during the year, which is lower than the state average. So I think we're heading in the right direction. I think we're starting to maybe level off. We want to continue improving and bringing them down as much as possible. But the fact is that there are certain situations, and that's why they're in the ed code, that suspensions are appropriate. Questions? I tried to make it quick for you.
Your team is fabulous, and Jerry, you know my history, so this is
Yep.
near and dear as a trained school social worker and former outreach worker and all that, having worked with the school resource officers at McClymonds High School, who oftentimes walked me in my car in the middle of the night and all that wonderful stuff, so thank you so much. It seems like all the data is pointing in the right direction, even that almost 1% attendance, like that's, I mean, whatever. I mean, well, no, not whatever, but it's still important. There were lots of explanations. I mean, I love seeing your team. I love seeing all this. I think that, I think I brought this up at the last board meeting in terms of, even though we're at 4%, it's about the disaggregated data, and we will be measured as a district through LCFF about the performance measures of our suspensions and school climate as well.
Absolutely.
And so when you start to look at that and you break it down, because we also will be accountable based on our performance on how many, you know, the number of African American and Native American students we are suspending over time too. So I mean, I get that it's 4%, but it's double that for Native American kids and African American kids. So I just have to kind of make it very clear, because again, I'm in a lot of those conversations. So
Yeah, we're very much aware of it, and we're working really hard to continue to make positive changes for our kids, that's for sure.
And being strategic, if our goal is to actually get some equity in terms of the 4% suspensions overall with our subgroups.
Thank you.
So I got a couple of questions. On the number of filed suspected bullying reports within the district, how do you determine when to file a suspected bullying report? What goes into that?
Yeah, there's a couple different methods. Number one, a family can call, a child brings an incident home, they can call the school site administration and start the process to file one when they call the site, and that initiates.
And that will trigger a number?
It will indeed.
Okay.
It will indeed. Or a student can come in and talk to an administrator about something that's going on, and then the administrator will try to determine, do we have a bullying situation? Do we have an incident situation where there's a one-time one-on-one with two students? And then if they feel like they have to go through the process, then they'll go through and file the suspected bullying report there.
But this doesn't capture well, I guess it couldn't, the bullying that would go on that isn't reported, because I guess there's no way to capture that. So I guess the only way to try and identify that is based on what people see on campus or potentially hear about on campus. And the reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of times people are too afraid to come forward with, suspected cases of bullying. And when the district has something of a zero tolerance bullying policy, it makes things a little bit, I guess, it can work against you, because they're really afraid of, what could happen to their peers, and maybe they're going to get retaliated outside of school or so forth. So I'm just curious as to how do we capture that? I know it's an almost impossible job for you to try and do, but,
I don't know how we can report or take data when it's not reported.
I know. But I'm saying, in terms of working with our students to get them to feel more comfortable, to get them to come report anything that, maybe.
I think that these guys, and I don't want to speak for them, but I think they can verify to you with their experience with Kevin's program, that's one of the big encouragers that we don't want students, the students that are bullying people aren't the only ones that are guilty. We actually tell them that if you're witnessing it and not being helpful, then you're part of the problem too. And that's part of Kevin's message.
Okay. And then I had some questions about the suspension data. In terms of, wow, that's really small, so let me see if I can look on here. Some places had some dramatic changes. Southport went from 0 to 18, which seems very interesting because they went from 21 to 6 to 0, then up to 18. Can you, I've got Bridgeway doubled theirs from 11 to 22, but that's not big given the number of students that they have there. You have, where's the other one I saw that was really big jump? Oh, Riverbank went from 65 to 111, or 115. Westfield went from 98 to 58. That's great. But what can you attribute those jumps to?
Well, I think a couple of them. Let's start with Southport. I think, in all reality, last year's discussion at a board meeting led to some conversations with the administration at that school about where we might be able to do some things differently. Just put it that way. Okay? The Riverbank jump, if you looked at Westmore Oaks last year and also looked at Westfield last year from the previous year, we saw a fairly strong rise in suspensions. It's not uncommon at all when you get new administration with trying to set a tone at a school campus that the first year that they're in there, that you might have an increase in suspensions and stuff that's trying to set down the rules in a little bit stronger fashion. The good news is in the two schools that we did have a jump last year, we did see a fallback with more consistent administration, both at Westmore Oaks and at Westfield. I think one of the things you can attribute some of the lower suspension numbers at our schools in the South is the long-term consistency of the administration on the school campuses.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that information.
You bet. No other
I think
questions?
I've asked this before, but and I know those aren't all true suspensions, but in-house suspensions count in this number?
No,
or
they
don't?
do not.
They don't.
They do
That's
not,
right.
no.
Okay.
We just do out-of-school suspensions on this data. That's
Okay.
correct. There is a CalPADS number where they take both the outside school suspensions and in-school suspensions, and they put them together.
Thank you. Because clearly we want kids in school, but I know there's things with ed code. I mean, if a student brings a knife to school or something, your hands are tied, you need to
Absolutely. There's certain things
address
that we
it in
have
an
to.
appropriate way. Okay. I had just a couple comments. One, thank you again for all being here, and we appreciate you and the work that you're doing. So it looks like you'll have two openings, if I heard you correctly, one with a social worker, one with outreach specialist.
Well, funny that you say that. We actually, we do technically on paper, but we've already interviewed for the social worker position.
Okay.
And I believe, is that recommendation on for this evening? No, it'll be brought up for the next time, and it could affect the numbers that we have of outreach specialist openings.
Okay.
That's what I can tell you.
And that's pending board approval because we have to figure out our budget and our LCAP, I'm assuming. Right.
Well, we already had it budgeted. It's a position that they
Yeah,
just
it's
haven't
a
filled.
refill. It's not a new
The
position.
1.0
I'm not talking about the 1.0.
The 1.0.
Yeah, we're talking about the possibility of the social worker position affecting outreach specialist openings.
Yeah, but the 1.0 is a full-time is a pending board approval?
It would be a 0.50 increase, yes.
0.5 increase.
To 1.0.
Yeah. And then my one piece that we had talked about last time in a few meetings ago, maybe in the boardroom, was one conversation, just to let it simmer since you're all here, is when I know outreach specialists, you work hard to help with attendance. And so we talked in here maybe too about when students are deficient in their lunch payment. That might be an important conversation to talk to them about if they're qualifying for free lunch and they don't know it, or things like that, just so we can touch base with them and find out if there's a problem there that they need support or help with from the district. I think that was an important conversation we talked about here. And then I guess one question I would have, I'm so excited to hear about the uniforms. And I wonder if at the high school, if there's ever a need with clothing for the students, and if so, should we encourage people to donate high school clothes, and is there a place for that or not?
I'm looking at you.
So at the district office, actually in Jerry's area, we have kind of a bit of a clothes closet and a food closet there.
Okay.
So we have people donating. We have a partnership with the Center for Spiritual Awareness. So all we have to do is say, hey, we need this, we need that, and then they're their folks are donating things to us, and lots of other people are donating. So we do, some of our high school students, we are able to give them some clothing, shoes, socks, all that kind of stuff as they need it. So we just have to remind people, don't donate anything red because they can't wear it.
Oh,
So,
that's a good
yeah,
point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but.
So
yeah,
is that
that's been really
something that is helpful if people donate, or do you feel like right now you're covered with what you need?
I feel like we always need it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so, right, it's there's kind of an ongoing commitment we have with that church.
Perfect.
And another group that, donates to us pretty regularly, so.
Okay, good. I know people, I don't think they want my teacher clothes, but I know people that have, plenty of people with teen
Right.
kids who are growing and would be happy to
Sure,
donate
sure.
to them.
Yeah.
Maybe they would, but I don't know.
They
I
could actually
don't
contact
think they're that
Christina, Jerry's secretary, Christina Lopez.
Perfect,
kind of
okay, I'll
manages
do that. I'll
for us.
encourage people.
Prom
to-
dresses?
Yeah,
You take
and there
evening
are
wear?
prom
Prom
dresses. There is a separate group I know for prom dresses too.
And, yeah, that's a separate thing, but we will accept teacher clothes as well. I just want to make very clear. Okay.
Can I ask just one more question? You said that the in-school suspensions are not captured or Saturday schools, correct?
Correct.
When would we be seeing that data?
Would you like that data? We've never been asked
I
to
would be
provide that data
interested in it,
before.
yeah.
For
I'd
each
be
one of the
interested.
school sites?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank you again. And I know that, and I appreciate you hearing about the great program, and thank you, Officer Bowers, for doing that. I've seen the curriculum up close and personal, cutting it out for my own husband, the laminated cards and things. So I know that's a good program for kids, and thank you for that.
And I
all
want
of
to thank
you.
all of them for showing up, because they're
Absolutely.
going way above and beyond the call of duty tonight.
Absolutely.
This is a sure thing. Thanks, you guys.
And thank you for staying around this late.
Thank you, we appreciate you. All right. So that takes us to O3, which is highlights of the After-School Education and Safety Program, the ACES, in Washington Unified School District, 2016 to 2017. And Amber Lee, our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, is here with us.
Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, trustees, cabinet, and community members. It is my pleasure today to share with you just some highlights of our ACES program, our After-School Education and Safety Program. But first, I need to say this was originally supposed to be delivered by the people that are really on the ground doing the work. Our program specialist, Rahale Atabaki, I always butcher that, I apologize. This was originally supposed to be on the first board meeting in June, and that's what we had planned, but when we saw the agenda and the length of the LCAP and the time, we moved it to this meeting, and unfortunately, she had a pre-scheduled vacation. But I do want to give a huge shout out to Gwen, our PACE director, who has the oversight of this program, but again, to Rahale, who does the work every day on the ground. So ACES. ACES consists of two different programs that work together to really support our families and our students. Kids Zone, which supports our students in elementary, and Club West, our middle school students. We serve over 600 students at no cost to our families in grades K through 8 at 5 elementary schools. And each of these schools have at least 50% of their student population that receive free and reduced lunch meal program. But I think what is more important about this program is that it's really an extension of the in-school day program. Many of the students, many of the employees that work for this program live in West Sacramento. They've attended our schools, they're graduates, so they're deeply connected. It supports our families and it supports our community as well. And why this matters. When a district has a strong after-school quality program, it helps foster positive relationships. I've personally walked campuses and seen the connection between our workers that are supported by our Parks and Rec department. They're young adults, and they're really connecting and mentoring our students. It infuses more experiential learning opportunities. If you ever have a chance to walk it, you will see STEM activities, robotics, kids participating in PE, and also the academic enrichment. It begins to help close the achievement gap. Part of the program is required homework tutoring support. So students get to work sometimes one-on-one in small group to extend their learning and help close some of those achievement gaps. And it also improves their regular day attendance because students have something to look forward to. And we all know the research that shows that when students are connected to an adult and have a positive relationship, it helps improve not only grades but attendance as well. Our after-school programs provide an opportunity for students to participate in specialty projects, science fairs, art contests, sport contests. We also have individualized instruction for our subgroups that need extra support, both our EL students, our struggling students, but also our accelerated students. We have many, many different clubs that students do: gardening, sport activities, community-based projects, technology, nutrition, music, drama, art, field trips, cultural experiences. This year we had a partnership with a nonprofit that provided robotics to young women in the middle school year, so it was a great opportunity to help increase STEAM and STEM to our female students. We also have partnerships with a soccer youth program, Firefly Arts, martial arts, and one of the cornerstones we've had for a couple of years is our 916 Inc. creative writing program. This is a program that students have the opportunity to not only produce through a mentorship, creative writing, but they get to publish. They actually receive a published manuscript. And as a writer, to see your work in print and published is an amazing thing, self-esteem building for our students. To celebrate our year, we had our AAA days. This is for academics, attitude, and attendance. And each of the sites hosted various celebrations and activities. There was water days, carnival days, superhero days, obstacle courses. One site had the most complex obstacle course, and yet these kids were whizzing through it like in no one's business. It was amazing to see. A lot of opportunity, lots of smiling, happy faces. And just to conclude, I want to share some of the things that our students are doing. On the surface, looks like a little bit of cucumbers and tomatoes, but keep looking. It's really art and food combined. Our staff really are amazing, and they work hands-on with our students, building positive relationships, teaching important life skills, helping to enrich their academics. And the smiling faces, the satisfaction of our kids. So in conclusion, we just want to say thank you for the opportunity to share some of the great experiences that our students are participating in our ACES program, and open up to any questions.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Where are the 5 Kids Zone and Club West programs located?
They're at every school except for Southport, which has a paid-for program with the YMCA, and Bridgeway Island, which also has the same program. So that'd be Westmore Oaks, Westfield, Riverbank, Elkhorn.
Why is that, out of curiosity?
I'm going to turn to someone who has some more institutional history.
I don't have a lot of institutional history in this district. I'm moving on to my 3rd year. When I arrived here, that was a situation. I know that Bridgeway does not have a program because it's under 40% poverty, and Stonegate is right on the brink, so they may have applied several years ago and not received the funding, but 40% is the threshold. And Southport, I'm sorry. Stonegate does have a program, a very full program. Bridgeway is now about 36% poverty, so we can't apply for it.
So, okay, so that's actually answers my question, because I received an email from a parent asking, why is it not at every facility? And now at least I can answer with a informed,
The ACES program is a grant funded by the California Department of Education, and as you know, with any grant, there's lots of strings and guidelines attached that we have to adhere to. And we really follow this closely because we are subject to a program monitoring review, and I'm very excited that in February, our ACES program is subject to federal program monitoring review.
So I'm also assuming if demographics change, once you've applied for the 3-year grant, you're out. So even if the demographics change from year to year?
It's dependent upon the grant cycle, the funding
Right,
cycle.
so every
Yes.
3 years.
Correct.
Okay, so, but we're coming into another, I'm sorry, Gwen, you have a different.
It's a 3-year grant, but you can apply every year. So if for some reason Bridgeway Island, became 60% poverty.
Or Southport.
Or Southport,
50%,
then we
right? Is
could
it 60 or is
definitely.
it 50? I'm sorry.
It's 40% the
40%.
threshold.
Oh, okay.
Now, when you do bring a free program onto a campus, it usually pushes out the paid program, which sometimes has ramifications, I've noticed from another district. So.
Okay, just curious. We're just curious.
How often is it, or how common is it for a city to be the one applying for this grant versus a school district, as is in the case here? Correct?
I believe we applied for, we just partner with the city.
So we are the fiscal agent for the grant. Being in LEA, if we hired our own employees to do this, we wouldn't have the money to be able to run a 20-to-1 program. The grant is $7.50 per day per kid, which is not very much. So what we do is we partner and subcontract with agencies who have qualified people for the grant and then can offer part-time, minimum wage, and make that funding work.
So are you saying that the city subsidizes the program?
We subsidize it. We have a 1/3 match that we are required to give. So some of that includes facilities. We provide the snacks. We provide a summer, like a light meal. We provide some supplies. We provide professional learning, things like that. So we do have a 1/3 match that is not strictly a cash match, but it is a match. And we are starting to have to subsidize more because as the minimum wage went up, the grant funding is the same as it was in 1999, I believe, or 2009. It's been in effect 10 years almost, so, and it has not increased.
So we pay 1/3 match, and then where's that other gap? Who's paying, subsidizing that gap? The city or no?
Well, that takes care of it with the grant plus the 1/3 that the district picked. So that the grant is for $112,500 for 85 kids and $150,000 for, I think, 125 kids at the middle school. So that plus the 1/3 match pays for what is happening at the sites. But it's getting less and less. 10 years ago, I was able to offer a lot more enrichment. As the minimum wage has increased, our staff is taking up more of the cost of that grant. And that, what happens is we contract with the city. And so their costs are increasing, which comes back to us. But we are responsible. We're the fiscal agent. So when we're monitored, it's Washington Unified.
So the city provides the staff? And do we know, okay, where do they find the employees generally? They just hire them or do they have qualifications? Just curious.
So the grant requires that the employees either pass a equivalent paraeducator test that we would have at our district, or have a certain number of college units. So there is, it's not just anyone off the street.
Sorry, I was confused about the way our
Background check.
partnership work with us. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so that takes us to 04. Welcome. Washington Unified School District Multi-Tier System of Support, also known as MTSS. Amber Lee, Assistant Superintendent of Education Services.
Once again, good evening. And I just want to say that this is really at the core belief and value of my heart, everything I believe, and everything that we're doing in Washington Unified really falls under this umbrella. Everything that Jerry's office is doing with supporting students and meeting their social emotional needs, everything that we're doing with the Dream Team, which we do have an ELA meeting tomorrow, just a little plug right there. That is really our tier one with our academic, and then also everything that we're doing looking at the social emotional supports for behavior. But before I turn it over, I just want to really acknowledge the people that have been on the ground getting this up and running. So a little bit of history. As we first went down this road based on feedback from stakeholders, Roxana Villasenor, principal of Westfield, and Jerry Smith, director of Family Support Student Services, took the lead and formed a task force and really took on this work. And out of it, what's emerged is recently, board approved, we have a brand new MTSS program specialist. And she'll be presenting information tonight, and I'll introduce her in a second. But officially, she doesn't start till July 1st, but she's already spent countless hours pouring her hard work, sweat, tears, and heart into this work. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our multi-tiered system of support program specialist, Nicole Latimer.
Oh, Miss Latimer, we miss you already.
Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, board trustees, cabinet, and community members. I'm Nicole Latimer. I'm the new MTSS program specialist. I'm really excited about this opportunity and about the work. So I am sad. I'm sorry to leave the classroom, but
no, I'm excited for the district.
Thank you. So I'm
Knowing
going to present this information on behalf of our team that worked together to put it together, and I just, it's farther down in the slides, but I did want to give credit to some teachers who really worked on these slides in different phases. But Veronica Aguilar, Deanna Chrisman, Dana Gold, they worked on the first set of slides that was shared with leadership, and then Tessa Hernandez and Marlena Schroeder, who could not be here tonight to share the information that we put together. So I'm not sure I know how to work this, but I'm assuming it's just forward and back, and we're just going to go for it. Okay, perfect. So why MTSS and why now? So basically following what Assistant Superintendent Lee shared, based on teacher one-on-one conversations, strategic planning, the Board of Trustees, special board meeting, LCAP meetings, community forums, and Ed Services observations, it was determined that there was a need to create an individualized, high-quality educational experience which addressed the unique needs of the whole child while igniting a passion for learning. So thus came the task force led by Roxana, and our plan is for WSD to be committed to creating a multi-tiered system of supports, a comprehensive district framework that focuses on Common Core state standards, core instruction, differentiated learning, student-centered learning, individualized student needs, and the alignment of systems necessary for all students' academic, behavioral, and social success. So basically, we are just taking the academic side and the social emotional side and putting them together, making sure that everyone is working together and that the left hand knows what the right's doing. That's the goal, to get everything encompassed, and then also make sure that it's district-wide and that all the sites have the opportunity and the access to the same resources in the various tiers. So it includes multiple tiers of intervention for both academic and behavior and social emotional supports. It's data-driven decision-making and problem-solving teams at the site and district level with a focus on Common Core standards. So this graphic right here, as I was saying before, it's just making sure that we're looking at the whole child and not just the academics or the social emotional, but everything together and addressing all of those student needs. And so this shares kind of the model of MTSS and just looking at where students fall and where we want our student populations to fall. So under that tier 1, we'd like to see 80 to 90% of the students receiving all resources, and then 5 to 10% in targeted group intervention, and then 1 to 5% in the intensive individual intervention. So basically we want to equip them to know how to swim, or at least have life vests before we're trying to fish them out of the water. You know, as they're going downstream, we'd like to teach them first and give them those tools that they need in their education. So these are some of the timelines. These things have already happened, but we just wanted to share kind of where we're at and what we've done through our task force. So we committee established the timeline of activities, and then we drafted plans for principal input. We drafted a plan and submitted it to cabinet for input, and then tonight we're having our board presentation. So this is a list of our MTSS committee members, and we have representation from all the sites. So that's really awesome, and it's administrators, both site-based and at the district office, and then we have intervention staff, teachers, and many teachers in this committee have assumed leadership roles, and that's really awesome. And we've been just really given the opportunity to kind of take it on and make it our baby, so to speak, and really take ownership of it. So it's been really awesome to be a part of that. And then the best way to cope with change is to help create it. So that's what we're trying to do. This is our team commitment highlights. And I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge Roxana. She has been phenomenal and such a wonderful leader for all of us in getting this task force together and making sure that we had all of our information, making sure there was equal representation from all the sites, and then sharing the information and kind of leading us as different groups took on different roles. So even though her name's not listed in every single category, she's been such a big part of every single thing that we've done. So thank you very much for that. And then this is, again, the list of names of people who have worked on the presentation, and then different parts, pieces of the puzzle. Our district-wide survey that we sent out, that's listed in there as well. So representatives from each site across the district were invited to be a part of the task force, and so we agreed to be a part of it, and we meet to research MTSS, to make sure that we have it at all the sites, and we've looked at neighboring districts, and then we're gathering data for Washington Unified, and we formed an action plan. So the first thing that we kind of did was get together and take a look at the different tiered structures that we have in place in Washington Unified, and just drafting that with all the different sites, we realized that it was vast differences, and so we kind of wanted to take a look at what we as a district even know is out there at all the sites. So we created a survey. It was provided to all Washington Unified employees, and so these were our survey findings, and I don't want to read them all to you, but it was a really wide range of what we know we have and what different sites are using. And that's important to acknowledge as a really big need for MTSS, because we really do need to all be on the same page. And even though all the sites are different with what they need, we still need to know that the resources are available for everyone. So these were some big ones. 73% report that small group counseling interventions are being offered to their students. 47% identify peer mediations as a resource available to students on campus. So just reading through these, it's a big variance in what we were able to find out about the different sites. And so the main thing we took from that is there are inconsistencies that exist throughout the district and within the school sites. So social emotional interventions are different, and then the academic interventions that are available. And then unaware of local agency support and the collaboration with social workers. So these were the suspension rates that we gathered, and this slide was created before the end of school because it was used for the leadership presentation. So I think this might be different than the one in the previous presentation, so I apologize about that. But those were the numbers that we gathered, and then these were the site-by-site numbers for all the different schools. And so what that meant to us was that although the suspension rates in general have declined, the rates are still high with respect to neighboring districts and our dashboard goals. And so through researching the neighboring districts with significant decreases in suspension rates following implementation of MTSS, it shows that there's a need for it in Washington Unified. So these are a few of the neighboring districts that are currently implementing MTSS: Natomas Unified, Elk Grove, Sacramento City, San Juan, Twin Rivers, and Roseville Joint. And just in the last couple of weeks since school got out, since I've been working on this job, I've actually reached out to Elk Grove, Sac City, Twin Rivers. San Juan is going through a change in that position, and then Roseville. So I'm hoping to make contact with their MTSS program specialists and the people that are involved in their implementation process, and talk to them about what's working for them and kind of steps to move forward. And I've also had phone conference calls with Napa Valley Unified School District in doing this work so far. So below are the proposed next action steps, and we have actually kind of checked some of these off our list as we've gone. So the first two we've completed, analyzing the survey and then identifying the essential data. And then the next two have also been completed. So this slide right here, this is kind of in our next steps. This is where we're actually at right now, establishing an MTS committee per site, and then using the essential data to determine which practices to hold on to, which practices to let go of, and which programs to adopt. And so with that, one of our action items was to create an MTSS manual for each site to have, and the goal was to have it for next not for 2017, 2018, but the following year. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Is that wrong? Not for this coming school year, but for the next school year. But based on where we were at in our plans, I worked really hard on it, and so this is the first draft, and it's a work in progress. I just turned it in to Assistant Superintendent Lee today, but the goal is to have this completed by the start of the school year so that we can actually implement these committees and get this going with our tiered structures. So I'm really happy that we were able to do this because it was a lot of work. And so then just to reiterate the why do we need MTSS, while a significant financial commitment is necessary to implement district-wide MTSS, the dividends are great. This work will direct and guide how Washington Unified will function to serve and support students, and the overall benefit in supporting the MTSS team to contribute to the idea of one district, one message that is inclusive, clear, and consistent, and focused on the whole child. So that's our why always, is what is best for kids, and we just need to make sure we're encompassing the whole child and not just the academic part or the social emotional part. And then this is a graphic that Roxana made for us. I think it's really great because it's got the MTSS pyramid, and then it's also got the bridge, which supports our logo, and just showing what we are doing with MTSS. And then this one looking like a road, so the road to success. And these are our next steps that we've discussed. So we're creating those site-based MTSS leadership teams, and they are going to be comprised of the people who are on the task force, going back to their sites and sharing that information, and then pulling other stakeholders in at each site and taking on those roles. So are there any questions? No? Okay.
That's great.
Okay.
Just comments.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you for everything you do
Thank
for
you
our
for having
students,
me tonight.
always.
Yes.
And I'll say, when looking at this data, it was shocking, like you said, it was surprising to see all the inconsistencies, and it can be a little hard sometimes to look at yourself that way and reflect, but it's so important. And so I really appreciated seeing this and knowing that we're moving in this direction, and there's so many districts doing this. So it's nice you have those resources and are reaching out. And I know one of the goals in the LCAP is to reduce the number of students we have who are being assessed for special education, but who are not then qualifying, meaning that they are not maybe getting some of the interventions they need along the way. And so I see this as just, well, in so many ways, but in that just one piece of it, how it supports what the other work we're doing.
And I think that speaks to the urgency, the sense of urgency that we have, why Nicole's worked countless hours to create this manual, because one reason, root cause for the inconsistencies is just the lack of protocols and systems and procedures memorialized district-wide. Sites have them, departments have them, grade levels have them, but as a one district, one voice, it was lacking. So this is the first step that we're taking to close that gap and those inconsistencies.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
As we continue, we'll make sure that you guys have a copy of the manual as well.
Perfect,
So you can
good.
see it. So
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you. Okay, so that moves us on to our action items. So we have, and I think there might be a comment that goes with a few of these together, but P1, the approval of the athletic director job description, and that is Michael Reed, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
We'll go with this. Good evening to the members of the board and cabinet members here this evening, and obviously all of our guests who are sticking around for the exciting part of the meeting. So I just want to start off with our item P1, which is a request for approval of the athletic director job description. And as you will see as we proceed over the next period of time, that we will continue to do our work of reviewing our job descriptions. In this case, we found one that was missing, and so that's why we're bringing it here to you this evening. So with input from our educational services team and our River City High School team, the district created the attached job description for the athletic director serving the high school location. Human Resources completed negotiations with WTA, and we are now requesting approval of the job description from the board.
Great. Any comments, questions, or motions?
Yes, I have a couple of comments and questions. First and foremost, when I think of director of athletics or an athletic director, I think of someone who is responsible for overseeing the entire athletic department of the entire district. So my question is, why is this not a managerial position. I would like to see this actually encompass the school sites that have intramural sports. The athletic director would be responsible, in my humble opinion, and this is just me because sports are really near and dear to my heart, the intramural programs 6 through 8, as well as the high school athletic programs. I think that having the athletic director as a teaching position that's a lot of responsibilities to put on just one person, as I was going over the job descriptions. And I would think that the position that we're looking at now could be an assistant to an athletic director, and then create an athletic director that oversees all of this for the entire district, including the intramurals. And I saw that we have an intramural coordinator, something that we're flying, but I guess the structure of it seems to me as something that I would want to see, something that's more managerial in nature. And there's a couple other things that I have. So can you tell me historically why the athletic director is a teaching post instead of a managerial post?
I can't speak to the history here in Washington Unified, but traditionally, athletic directors are teachers that are coming out of the classroom. Oftentimes, they're PE teachers who are also coaching, who pick up this position because of the knowledge that they need to be able to perform the duties that are listed in a particular job description. So I'm not familiar with districts that do it from a managerial level. Well, I know there are districts that who receive support. Maybe they have 4 or 5 high schools in the district, so there's probably somebody at the district level that's supporting the athletic directors at a district level. So I think it's just what's been done here, and also what's been done in other places.
Well, and as I see and I look at this job duty statement, this really reads more as a manager's type responsibility than it does a teaching responsibility. To me, I mean, maybe it's something to think about in the future, and maybe not right now, but I would certainly think that this is something we should be, moving towards in terms of having it be in a managerial role. There's a couple other things when I was looking at the draft. It says coordinate and work with site administration with regard to the performance of assigned personnel. I think I would also like to put in there somewhere, make sure it says evaluate. I mean, that's with regard to performance is, I guess, getting to it, but it doesn't have the responsibility of necessarily evaluating.
Correct, and that's purposefully not there, because in many cases, we would have teachers evaluating teacher performance.
Again, going back to my managerial role.
Correct. So the supervisory role that would perform an actual evaluation with the coach is usually assigned to the high school principal, or the principal may delegate that role to a vice principal. So obviously there's some coordination and some communication that goes on with an athletic director, but ultimately the evaluation would fall on the administration.
And again, I would say that, our principal has enough on his plate being a principal of a high school as well, too. So again, separating this is just kind of going into my argument for making a manager.
Sure, so if it's the wishes of the board for us to explore this concept, we could bring back information from other districts and kind of see what's going on out there. I mean, there's many districts in the state. There might be something out there. It is going to be a shift of priorities with finances because it will be more expensive to operate it that way.
I understand.
So that's something we would have to address, and obviously we would need to have some conversation with WTA because the athletic director position is a position that's discussed in the contract.
And I understand that. And I'm not suggesting that we do this right now, and I'm sure this could potentially be amended in the future, but I would certainly think I just want to raise it to all of our awareness. It's something that we should probably be thinking about, or at least I would like us to contemplate. Then there's a couple of other things. It says coordinate and direct coaching staff to ensure that proper practice schedules are maintained and that CIF rules are adhered to by all athletic teams. Also, they need to attend CIF meetings. So CIF has meetings, and it's not in here anywhere that they're supposed to be attending meetings. So I would like to see if we can add that in there, attend CIF meetings. And then serve as a liaison between administrators, personnel, parents, students, boosters, and outside agencies. What are outside agencies? What do you mean by outside agencies?
Let's see, so administrators, personnel, boosters, and outside agencies. I would assume that would be any agency that's interacting with our sports teams. That's not in that list. I can't think of a specific one right off. Maybe Andy, as a former principal, is there a specific agency that a athletic director would interact with that's not part of this list of boosters, students, parents, maybe sponsors, equipment agencies?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, what about community? Could we add our community in there as a whole? Because we want to try and promote our sports teams.
Sure.
And that, when you're talking about a liaison, you're trying, as an athletic director, I would imagine, to try and, drum up more support within the community. And it doesn't just mean parents. And it doesn't just mean, we want to get our programs to be recognized as we're not just Sacramento's little brother. We stand alone and we have good sports programs over here. And when, we have basically the only sporting programs in town besides Raley Field, and the River Cats, let's have them come out to our games, and let's have them drum up support to come out to our games and our sport, and have people support our sports. So I'd like to add community in there if we could. And I think that was it.
Are the CIF meetings something that are right now attended, do you believe, possibly?
I would think they would have to be to
I would
keep
hope
up
Currently,
that, I
okay.
really
what's
would
going
hope they
on.
would have to be, but
Yeah.
Okay.
generally they're posted on the website, so.
Yeah, without Stan or Jamie here to ask
Okay.
that, I don't want to just speak for them.
Okay, do you have a preference moving forward in terms of the way this looks, or any comments? Okay, so I think you bring up a really interesting idea that maybe, as I like to say sometimes, like, let simmer, and so to think about as moving forward, if down the road it looks like that might be, it's a creative idea, and maybe that would be a good fit for us, but but I personally would not be an advocate for directing staff to go out and be, searching this down if we should do this, or look at other districts right now.
I don't think so. I don't
okay.
think that's necessary.
Okay,
And
just a food for thought.
Right.
Okay.
And a part of what I was saying in terms of an athletic director is it would be the responsibility of that director as a managerial post to do the other school sites. And that would have to be a managerial post.
I see what you're saying.
So, and in terms of intramurals, you're building something of a feeder program into the high school. And I think that's been a complaint for a long time of our high school sporting activities, is that we don't have really great feeder programs going in. So I'm just thinking of what we can do to the future to try and, move this into a better, more.
Great. Well, so thinking about that for like a future lens, if it comes up, do you want to make a motion, though, for now to approve the athletic director job description with the addition of CIF?
President Kirby Gonzalez, we want to make sure that we capture the board's interest of language on here, which will need to be renegotiated with WTA before the board approves it. So we want that opportunity to go back and work with our WTA partners.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve it as it is, or do we want to wait on that?
I would move as it is, but
Okay. I'll
small
second
boards,
that,
right?
but if you'd like to wait and we need 3 votes and it dies, that's
Hang on a
okay.
second, let me think about this.
So Vice Principal Mabry just came up and let me know that Jamie does attend CIF meetings
Okay.
currently.
Thank you.
So it's a normal part of what is
Okay.
already being done.
That's good.
Thank you. Oh, the local league meetings, anything that they would
Okay.
need to take
Okay.
care of the sports
Well,
program.
that takes care of 2 of my concerns.
Mhm. So just leave the idea of the promoting.
I would be willing to support this if we can just have an agreement that the athletic director, we don't have to put it in writing per se, but we can ensure and make sure that everybody's hearing this, that they do liaise with the community as a whole and not just parents. They go out and, they talk to whoever they need to talk to, be it maybe the Chamber of Commerce to get businesses to drum up support or interest to come to our events or things like that. I want us to be, as proactive as we can for building our sports programs.
I can definitely share that concept with Stan and with Jamie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then with
absolutely.
that, I would be okay.
Okay, so we had a first and a second, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. Okay. Thank you. All right. And thank you for your comments. So that takes us to P2, the approval of job description for Director Early Childhood Education. Michael Reed, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources.
So this evening, we're also requesting the approval of a job description for Director Early Childhood Education. Previously, the administrative level designed or designated to complete many of these same duties was a coordinator level. Because of the added duties such as oversight of all TK programs, curriculum development, and instruction for ECE, we have now assigned this position at the director level. The position does require an administrative credential and ECE director permit, so we are respectfully requesting the approval of the attached job description.
Any comments or a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Board Vice President Pizzotti. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Trustee Wong. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. All right, so that takes us to approval of 6-8 intramural sports coordinator job description.
All right. Last but not least, we're requesting the approval of a 6-8 intramural sports coordinator job description. For the past several years, the district has provided a 6-8 intramural sports program overseen by an assistant principal. The recommendation is being made for a 6-8 intramural sports coordinator position to be filled by a certificated employee. An MOU with WTA recommending the formation of this position for a 1-year trial basis during the 17-18 school year is being negotiated and will be brought to the board in a future meeting. So staff is requesting approval of this job description for a 6-8 intramural sports coordinator.
I got a question here. So this is, in effect, is much like a coach's stipend for doing the extra work?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then what we're working through with WTA is what is the stipend? Does this match? And so that's the discussion we need to finish. And then also what we have proposed up front is that we provide this teacher with a prep period in order for them to conduct the duties that are required around the 6-8 intramural sports.
Okay, and then have you looked at other districts in terms of having an intramural coordinator? And
now, we know it's a need here because the way we've been functioning, there is quite a bit of interaction with the city for all of the referees. And there's a lot of coordination just between the schools to operate the program. So it's a need that's been sitting there, and currently Vice Principal Forsman has been doing the work of this position, and we'd like to have the opportunity for one of our certificated staff to take it on as a growth opportunity, and also to fulfill the needs of the program.
Okay, thank you. I'll move it.
Okay, so that item was motioned by Vice President Pizzotti. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Wong. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you. So that takes us to P4, approval of the 2017-2020 Local Accountability Plan and Annual Update. and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Parsons.
Good evening. Thank you. The last board meeting, we held a public hearing, and we appreciate all the board's comments and suggestions. It really helped Amber, myself, and Gwen reframe our thinking as we're going over the LCAP again. So, this is interesting. And so tonight we are requesting the board approval of our LCAP. When we heard your comments, as well as the counties, we're going to talk about just 5 items briefly. First of all, the Yolo County Office of Education reviewed and met several times with Gwen to look at our LCAP. They did not have any material changes to our goals or action or budget. It was basically technical changes, which I'll show you in just a moment. Secondly, we adjusted our budget based on the actuals and projections. As you remember, at the last board meeting, we were dealing with just our projections, but now we have more actual numbers. It's also, we have 2% that's compounded yearly, primarily to support our personnel that's in the LCAP. Thirdly, language revision regarding the GATE 2018 to 20 Goal 2 Action 3, which I'll show you in just a moment. 4, the addition of equity bias training, Goal 4 Action 1. And 5th, inclusion of parenting skills under parent training, Goal 5 Action 3. It's kind of small print, but these are the examples of YCOE revisions, and it basically looked at the changes, and you can see in the box up there they wanted us to put modified in there, and so we just made some technical changes that Rhonda over at the county office recommended. And then Goal 2, Action 3, GATE, is on page 89 of the LCAP, and basically to develop a GATE task force to explore inclusion of additional school sites and process of student identification as GATE promotion of equal access to identifying assessment. Establish a comprehensive GATE plan fully aligned with district and board priorities and industry practices, clearly define GATE with equity for all students. The next one that the board suggested and recommended was Goal 4 Action 1, bias training. That's on page 110 of your LCAP. Provide training on equity and bias related to disparities in referrals, suspension, and graduation rates based on race and ethnicity. And lastly, parenting skills, which is Goal 5, Action 3 on page 124. And I won't read all the verbiage, but it is to provide parenting skills training for our parents. And so are there any questions from the board for Cabinet or for Gwen or for anything before we ask the board to take action?
No, I just appreciate you taking in our feedback and allowing us to
Absolutely.
help.
I do
A
too.
little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to Board Trustee Wong for her comments too. And I think this document is stronger and I appreciate it. So thank you for going through it. It's a great document.
Thank you.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Okay, so the motion was made by Board Trustee Wong. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice President Posadi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to P5, approval of the 2017-2018 Washington Unified School District budget with a positive certification. Scott Landsberger, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
Good evening, members of the board, cabinet, public. First off, just want to take a really quick moment and acknowledge Kylie, who's with us tonight, and the work that her staff put into the document. We've talked a little bit about process and cycle, and to do the amount of work that they've done in the time that they did and have a document that's as solid as it is a testament to the leadership that she has within our fiscal services department. So very happy that she's able to join us tonight and see the fruits of her labor and how it looks up on this this big screen. So I can go through a very quick presentation for you. You got your cheat sheet that we give you every year that shows you what the significant program opportunities are in the 17-18 budget, and then the financial highlights of your 17-18 budget as well. So since we saw you a couple weeks ago, nothing here has changed with the exception that one-time discretionary revenues that we talked about that the governor proposed to pay in May of 2019, which is bullet number 4. Both houses moved to pay it in the current year, except the dollar amount that they were going to pay is significantly less than what the governor had proposed. It was, I believe, $170 per ADA that he was at, and it's down to less than $140. It's about $1 million. If the governor signs the budget, and you'll see this later in the presentation as well, then you will see your 45-day revise because it would be considered a material revision because it's about $1 million. Nothing else of significance for this district changed in the proposals that move forward to the governor for signature. And they actually met their statutory deadline, and he has until, some people say the 30th, but I read because of the day that they sent it to him, he has till like the 29th or the 28th. He doesn't have till the end of the month. He has a certain amount of time to sign it. So nothing's changed here as far as your target and your entitlement. They are the same. I do want to make a clarifying point because I showed here that you have a $2.2 million gap in between your entitlement and what you're actually being funded, the target and your entitlement. And so you're going to actually get more money by the time the program fully funds because over the next 2 years, there's a projected increase in COLA. And once they apply COLA to your entitlement, the gap gets bigger. And so to actually completely reduce the gap, you're going to get your $2.2 million plus the value of any COLA that is added to your target. This is a full picture of the tracking tool that we put into place to track the LCAP. So you see all 5 goals and all action plans underneath the goals, the dollar amounts that are budgeted for them, and the funding sources. It is Exhibit C, which is on page 20 of the PDF file itself. So if you venture to print out the 200-page budget document, you actually see this as Exhibit C, and we're going to take this document internally, and we're going to track our spending and do a better job this year of knowing exactly where we are at our interim reporting. We'll bring this back to you and show you what our spend rates are. The increases and decreases, they fluctuate a little bit as we went through and put everything that you guys asked for and other comments that we received into the final budget document. You shifted as far as where your ending fund balance or your surplus deficit for the year is. We were at about around a $2 million decrease. It shifted to about a 2.1 to 2.4. But you'll see the ins and outs, and you'll see another slide that actually shows these a little bit better for you, which is Exhibit E, which was done as a spreadsheet, any Word document that shows you the significant changes that were put into this budget from last year's budget. The top section shows you the ongoing expenditures that were requests that came through staff or through classification studies or other formats, your ongoing expenditures that are a direct result of the LCAP, and then you have required expenditures, which are for things that are already in place, such as you have a staffing formula for River City High School, so as the population there is expected to grow, we had to add FTE to that. You have your PERS increase, you have your STIRS increase, you have step and column, classified professional, all these other things. And then at the bottom, you'll see where we went through, because we had said, knowing that this trend is going to continue as far as our expenditures exceeding the growth of our revenues, we knew these things up top were going to happen, and most of them are already planned in that 2% year-over-year cost that you see. And to balance that, we knew we were going to have to make reductions. So the bottom section of this exhibit, and it's noted in the Word document as well, is what we did as far as those transfers and shifts and reductions in between the unrestricted general fund and the restricted general fund that we had talked about over the last couple months, you see those line item detailed. And they have to do primarily with the movement of, or reduction in spending of capitalized equipment and shifting things to the restricted side, using some of that fund balance that is on the restricted side and paying it down by shifting salaries over. So out of everything that's in there, that's the one point that I want to make sure we're all very clear on, which is you have a transfer for MOT for the routine repair maintenance fund balance. It is item W. It's a $350,000 savings to the unrestricted general fund. That'll only last for 3 years. I don't expect the entire 350 to come back, because I expect our overall expenditures to grow, and then the 3% requirement to the routine repair and maintenance fund will grow, and it will absorb some of that 350. But some of that 350 is going to fall back into the unrestricted general fund in 3 years, because we're using fund balance to pay for it on the restricted side. So eventually, when that money's gone, it'll shift back. So there's a...
Restricted money.
Huh?
Unless we get new restricted money somehow.
Correct. But what we'll do on our side is we'll look at that as a funding cliff, and we'll show it in 3 years. And a couple years from now, when you have your budget, you'll see a shift coming back in, and we'll just remind everybody that that's where that came from. So that's a 3-year solution that we'll have to address at the appropriate time.
So thank you for balancing the needs of our staff and cutting on capital expenses.
Yep.
So I appreciate this slide, because I know folks have questions.
And I think it's indicative of the conversations that we had through budget development and working towards more of a zero-based budget, where we, instead of saying, well, you had X dollars last year, you're going to have the same amount this year, it was you had X dollars last year. What do you need this year, and why do you need it?
Yeah.
And so we've worked on getting to that point over years, because it takes time for people to think about that and actually put together. I had one manager say to me, well, we had a conference and stuff, it was $20,000, I need $20,000 again. I said, well, where are you going? He goes, well, I don't know yet. I said, well, think about it, and you can change it if you need to, but have something to justify. And when people started doing that, they started seeing that that $20,000 isn't what they really needed. They needed a different number. So it made us think a little bit more at managers, be a little bit smarter with our money as well. So appreciate the comment. And again, you have $2.2 million in reductions, shifts, and transfers, and that's what's helped balance the unrestricted general fund for this year. And you did a great thing for you as well. And it's not in this presentation. It's in the risks that we have here, and we talk about the state funding model, the Prop 98. This is exactly what you saw 2 weeks ago, except on the bottom, the sustainability number is $500,000. And so I gave a copy to you. It's page 158 of the document, which is your unrestricted general fund multi-year projection. And the number in red, which is what we've been working on over the past 6 months, for the out years, that was an additional $500,000, or excuse me, additional $1 million. It's now down to $500,000. It's a combination of a couple things. It's a combination of the $2.2 million reduction compounding. And some of the things that we found in that $2.2 million, when we reduced it, it actually hit the current year as well. So we got a current year savings that we rolled forward into next year, and it just compounds. You also had a change in the local control funding formula going into next year. The money was a little bit different. It was about $500,000 more than we thought it was going to be when you take the one-time money out. And again, that just balances on the bottom line. So the multi-year projection that you have looks very, very good compared to what we were looking at about 6 months ago. So the work that we've done says your multi-year projection is strong. You have a fund balance that is strong. You've got your designations for those 4 items that we've been talking about for a while: one-to-one devices, textbooks, capital investment, and your maintenance reserve. You meet your board reserve of 6% in all 3 years quite comfortably. And so you have a very strong foundation to move forward on, because we know that things are shifting on us. We have to be very cautious as we go forward. So it's a very solid budget to start the year off. There's a few things that we'll still have to address as we go forward, and you'll see them in the interim reports. And again, we'll be back in 45 days, because as we said, the budget that went to the governor does have one-time money in this year that we weren't expecting in this budget. So we will bring that forward to you in 45 days-ish. Depends on when your board meetings fall, because one thing we won't do when we bring it back is ask for a special board meeting. So I don't have the 2 dates in August for your board meeting in my head, but you'll actually see your revised in August. You will not see it at the July 13th meeting because we won't have it done by then. Any questions?
I have a, do you have a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, I have just a very quick one. It's just on the language or the wording. On the page with increases and decreases, the itemized list for 2017, 2018, page 6. The very bottom X says shift PD ed services to title, and I'm just wondering what that means.
If I have all the parts and pieces right, we shifted some of the professional development that was being paid for the unrestricted general fund for AVID to Title 2 and 3. Is that correct?
The PD stuff, yeah. The teacher.
Yes. Title 1 and 2, okay.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So it was looking at some of the professional development that we were paying for in the unrestricted general fund, said, can any of that be paid for out of the restricted side? And we identified that and we shifted it over.
Perfect, that makes sense. So, and then my question is, I know this is not an itemized budget that we see in terms of breakdown of like every PD that folks are going to, but as we look at being transparent and we're asking staff to be really thoughtful over what professional development they're using, being strategic, how is it impacting our kids? Do you have the number for the board breakdown for our board expenses and where we are with our board budget of professional development?
I don't have all the numbers as far as line item. I know we looked at the board budget for the CSBA workshop that you go to. I want to say your budget last year was in the $50,000 range. It's about the $70,000 range this year. I'll pull the detail of that out for you. I'll have it for you at the July meeting. We looked at part of it today, and it's really hard to go back and identify some of the parts and pieces because I have to pull source documents. And the reason why is, as we pay for some of these things, say when you guys go to an out-of-town CSBA meeting, it's put on a CAL card. And when the payment processes through a CAL card, it shows it's a CAL card, and I can't see what it is. So I actually have to go back and pull the CAL cards and go, okay, this was for this particular meeting, or this was for that particular event. So for me to validate some of the specifics in the board's budget, I have to actually go back to source document, and that's going to take a little bit of time.
Great, okay, but I know that we're up, about $20,000 more than we have been in the past. And so I think for us, that's important for us to look at as we think about, it doesn't mean that it's not beneficial what we're doing, but I know boards in the past, they froze their spending in terms of out of area conferences unless it was meaningful. And so I think we should have a conversation, look at policy. So I'm going to recommend that during board policy, board governance at our next meeting that we do talk about what is our protocol to go to a conference versus, oh, this looks good over here and this looks good over here. Who's using, say, campaign funds versus using taxpayer funds from our district. And so I think we need to have a conversation about that and just see where we are and where that's going, because especially as folks start looking at conferences that are outside of CSBA, we should have a conversation about that for us. Okay, thank you though for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Any comments? Okay. Then I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, so the motion by Vice President Pizzotti, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Trustee Wong, and I too vote aye.
Well, we gotta ask for our votes.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm not used to 3 people up here. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you. Okay, so that takes us to P6, approval of education protection account spending plan for fiscal 2017-2018.
Actually, do we need a motion to go beyond 10?
Oh, you're right, thank you. I'm sorry, I was paying attention, stop. So can I have a motion to go past 10 o'clock?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
What happens is there isn't a second.
Then we end.
No, don't do that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Please don't do that.
But some of these things are time sensitive, so I hope I can encourage my board colleague, especially as people have waited in the audience for a long time, to give I'll give the second. I give the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You don't get the third vote. Aye.
I too vote aye.
It's late. I'm tired and hot.
You ready for item P6?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so item P6 is it's a housekeeping item. It's an annual requirement for you to take action on the EPA spending plan, which was part of the budget that you just approved. EPA spending, the Education Protection Account was part of Prop 30 and continues with Prop 55. So you have that. It was Exhibit A, I believe, in the budget. You see it again under item P6. And for simplicity, in this district, we use all the Education Protection Agency funds for teacher salaries. So this year it's estimated at $9.2 million. $9.2 million. It's a net zero in your budget as far as revenues. They just shift it from one spot to another. You actually don't get any additional money, but it's supposed to soften the blow if we get into a recession again, and so we'll see how that happens in the future. But what we're asking for tonight is approval of the spending plan of $9.2 million.
So moved.
Okay, motion was moved by Board Vice President Pizzotti. Is there a second?
I will second.
Seconded by Board Trustee Wong. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. P7, approval of contract services for students with special needs for the 2017-2018 school year. Dr. Andy Parsons, Assistant Superintendent, Education Services.
Good evening again. Tonight, we're asking the board to consider approval for contract services for students with special needs for 17-18. This has already in the budget of special services, and it is the roughly the same amount as we spent this current year. This is for non-public agencies, NPAs, and non-public schools at PSs.
Okay, any comments?
I move.
Okay, the motion was made by Board Trustee Wong, seconded by Vice President Pizzotti. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye.
Thank you.
P8, approval of instructional calendar for 2017-2018 Alice Norman Playday Preschool and 2017-2018 Alice Norman Full Day Preschool. Amber Lee, Assistant Superintendent, Education Services.
Good evening once again. We respectfully request approval of the instructional calendar for 2017-18 Alice Norman Part Day Preschool and the Full Day Preschool.
Okay, any comments?
I was going to move unless.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Board Trustee Wong, seconded by Vice President Pizzotti. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. P9, adoption of Resolution 1670-31, approval of California State Preschool Program, contract number CSPP-7676, pre-kindergarten and family literacy program contract dash number KPKS-7111, and general child care and development programs contract number CCTR-7310. Assistant Superintendent Lee.
As part of our program requirements for our preschool program, we have 3 contracts. One is for the infant and toddler program, the other one is for the preschool program, and the third one is for the family literacy project. And we're just respectfully requesting approval of these contracts, which award us the reimbursable amount of money for the infant and toddler program and the preschool program. Those dollars are only reimbursable if we get the enrollment. The Family Literacy Project is an actual grant awarded amount, and that does not change.
Quick question. It's if we get the enrollment?
Excuse me,
Oh.
Trustee Pizzotti, when we get the enrollment.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm told that there's actually a rate increase possibly in this budget
Correct.
as well.
Correct.
So we'll have a little bit more space and fun to play with our littles.
Technically, yes, but I just want to caution the board that our contract dollar amount was reduced because we are under-enrolled, and part of the issue is that our preschool teachers fall under the WTA collective bargaining agreement, and the rate of reimbursement from the state is at the state preschool rate, which is significantly lower, especially when you consider salary and benefits. So at this current time, the decision was made to not add another teacher because it would not be cost beneficial. So we're kind of limited to the amount of students that we can actually enroll because of
Yep.
the teacher ratio.
Right.
Yep. And then enrollment.
We would just be further in the hole if we were to add another teacher. So our goal, and that I'm confident that we will achieve is to maximize the enrollment in every single teacher's classroom that we currently have. And we're well on our way. Our family support specialists have been working extra hard to bring in our families and the community of West Sacramento to serve them.
And the eligibility is changing.
Correct.
The income eligibility. So hopefully all that will help
I'm meeting-
when we get more families in the program.
Yes, Kendra and I are meeting with state next week for technical assistance to further understand.
And I assume we're still looking at the sliding scale possibly for the future, which might capture more families and help
Yes.
us with that financial. piece.
Correct.
That would be, as we know, a win-win
That
up
would be
here, you know, because it would help bring a more affordable solution too and help us. Okay.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Board Vice President Pizzotti, seconded by Board Trustee Wong. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too
Aye.
vote aye.
Thank you.
Okay, P10, approval of resolution 1617-32 for the purchase of data communications and services. Shoratel Kim Harrison, Director of Technology Education Services.
Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez and members of the board and members of cabinet. I'm here tonight to ask, to request your approval of the resolution 1617-32. This is allowing us to purchase short telephone equipment off of a NASPA agreement, which is formerly called a WISCA. It's a state buy at a reduced rate, very competitive pricing for the purchase of short telephone equipment.
What is sure telephone equipment?
Excuse me?
What is sure telephone? Is this like cell phones or?
No, let me explain. In our school district, we have two phone systems that we use, the voice over IP phones. We have at a portion of the sites a ShoreTel phone system, and at the remaining sites, the 3Com system. The 3Com system is a legacy system that is no longer supported, difficult to find parts for, and when systems go down, it creates quite a panic with my staff to make sure that we have phone systems working in the district. So as we were looking at pricing and ways that we can purchase this equipment at a reduced cost, because we do have a couple of projects that involve short telephones this summer that we want to bring our district online. So currently we have ShoreTel at Alice Norman, Westfield, Westmore Oaks, and MOT. We did Westmore Oaks and MOT last summer. So
I'll move it.
Okay, motion made by Board Vice President Pizzotti.
I second.
Seconded by Trustee Wong. All those in favor say aye.
It's resolution.
Oh, sorry, roll call vote. Board Trustee, so crazy with your, okay. Board Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Board Vice President Pizzotti.
Aye.
And I too vote aye.
3-0.
P11, approval of contracting agreement between Pact Fusion, Inc. and Washington Unified School District. Kim Harrison, again.
Okay. Thank you for approving the resolution so that we can now purchase the equipment off the WISCA. Or the NASPO agreement. This is the independent contracting agreement to work with Packet Fusion. Packet Fusion is one of the vendors that is allowed to provide service through this NASPA agreement. One of the unique features of Packet Fusion is because we do have the legacy 3Com system and the newer ShoreTel system in the district, it creates a unique set of skills in that we have to have the two systems talk to each other. And so one of the unique skills that Packet Fusion brings to us is they can create the dial plan that allows our phone systems to communicate internally.
I guess I probably should have asked this question before. Why haven't we just moved over to one entire?
When I came to the district, they had started the process of moving over to the ShoreTel system in a phased-in approach. And each year, I've tried to add a couple of new sites. It really comes down to a cost. The cost of this contract will be for River City High School, which is a critical situation that we need to get that moved over, and then Riverbank, and it's about $150,000. So it's about $60,000 per school site.
Okay. Moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Vice President Pizzotti, seconded by Trustee Wong. All those in favor say aye. This is not a resolution.
Just say it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you for keeping track of me. P12, approval of resolution 1617-33 for the purchase of milestone equipment from APP Techs.
Okay. We are, one of our systems that we use in the district is the milestone surveillance system. And as we were researching different cost points of how we could, we're looking at redoing the Vicon system at River City High School, which is the system that was put in place with the original builders when they built River City. It is not a system that integrates with our district office. We use the milestone system at Bright, Riverbank, and YOLO, and we are looking to transfer the Vicon system to the milestone system. And in looking at pricing, I did a lot of research on how can we really reduce that cost, because it can get rather expensive. And I discovered a piggyback buy, which is news to me. I've been bothering Scott quite a bit about, now how do I do this, how do I do that? And it is through PEPM, which my staff loves saying the word PEPM. PEPM stands for, I wrote it down here, the Pennsylvania Educational Purchasing Program for Microcomputers. And it is actually administered through the Kern County Office of Education, and it allows us to really look at the products that we purchase in the technology department and be able to purchase those at a reduced rate. Because it is a piggyback type of buying, I need to bring that to the board and request approval to purchase future milestone equipment and licensing through our PEPM agreement.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move.
Okay. Motion by Board Trustee Wong, seconded by Vice President Pizzotti, and roll call vote. So Vice President Pizzotti?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Aye.
And Board Trustee Wong is aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we do not have anything for board governance for future board agenda items. I did say earlier, and so I'll get this on there, to have a conversation at our board level, looking at our board handbook and policy on conferences and memberships, so that we can be thoughtful for what that looks like and how we support one another strategically. Are there any others? Okay, all right, then can I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, second? I second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye. I was